their views ahead of this afternoon's final.
We've been installed as favourites, I suppose, by virtue of the fact that we are Munster champions and that we did give a good performance against Clare. I suppose going in as underdogs is better, you know. At the same time, I think within our team we have enough experience. This is our 4th Munster final in a row. Some of the players are playing their 6th Munster final. I don't think it has any bearing really. I think we're mature enough as a group of individuals to be able to handle the pressure that goes with favouritism.
I think that the big advantage for Cork is experience. And if Cork, you know, play up to 70-75% with the experience that they have, you don't expect 100% performance from 15 players plus the subs. I think if Cork come up to 70 or 75 or 80% of what they're capable of doing or what they did against Clare, like the composure they had against Clare, they knew they had the match won after 20 minutes.
I think over the 4 years that I've been involved again, I've spoken to the press a lot, you know, and particularly I suppose as manager in the past 2 years. I rarely make statements that maybe can come back to haunt me. I'd be fairly conservative in what I say most of the time. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm sure my teachers in the man of old would have said that from the point of view of syntax it was poorly worded.
This is going to be a huge day for Owen, and I'm the one that can go back like and follow Tipperary traditions and Cork tip traditions for over 50 years. And like, it has been well established that the greatest man ever played, namely Christy Ring, was held scoreless by Tommy Doyle for 2.5 hours. That was the drawn game in Limerick in 1950, and they were playing Killarney in extra time, and Christy Ring didn't score on Tommy Doyle. Now if that could happen to Christy Ring, it can happen to Owen Kelly as well.
Owen Kelly certainly is the best informed forward at present, you know, and like he's been compared with DJ Carey and so on, which certainly on present form he deserves that recognition and that comparison. 14 points one game, 2-9 the next game. Like Owen Kelly, I don't think there's ever a game he plays in that he doesn't score. I mean, if we could keep Owen Kelly to half what he scored in his last games, I'd be happy enough that we'd be in a good position.
We didn't train since last November to look at Sean or look at Joe Dean and say, lads, you know, go up there and collect that cup. Thanks very much for coming to Thurles and having 58,000 people here to admire us. As I told him last night, they're not going out the door of the dressing room wearing a Tipperary jersey, march behind the R10 or the Mike Harkey band and look up at the stand and admire themselves. Any Tipperary player that thinks that way or behaves that way for the first 10 minutes, they'll be in for a rude awakening.
Well, there's no doubt about it. This is the stadium for rude awakenings in a Munster final, and first blood here today already in the minor match has gone to Cork. They have beaten Tipperary in that minor final, 220 to 115, and the Cork captain Patrick Horgan receiving the trophy there. Patrick, of course, in the Glen Rovers club down in Cork, and he is son of the great Pat, a hero of Cork teams, of course, of a couple of years ago. Also want to say congratulations to the Carlow minors who won yesterday in Leinster, reached their first ever minor final in Leinster, and well done to the lads there. Gerlach and Sarah Farrell with me here in studio. Great atmosphere building up to these games, of course. Fellas watching this thing all over the world. Paddy Foley's bar in Tokyo is full of Cork fellas looking out for this thing. You want to be looking at one of the aspects of the Cork team, Dunlogue's puckouts, and the importance of them to Cork.
Yeah, Dunlogue really, Michael, is the conductor of the orchestra. He dominates all the half-back line, he calls all the shots. In a sense, he's kind of the leader of the pack, even though he's in goals. He takes them long, he takes them short, he plays them like, and you'll see here in the clip when it comes up, he's not the usual goalie where you just puck the ball. Here, watch this now. Usually he'd have it worked out in training. He goes here for a quick one into midfield. He's supposed to catch this ball, even though I think McCarthy drops it, but that was meant to be caught straight away. Next one he goes out long, just changes the direction, goes long this time. Again, a little flick out from the side here. They're after running crisscross the pitch, reinforcement against the fast one here, out to Mulcahy, cornerback away, he gets it. That was a fast ball. Here now, he does, look at it, comes out here, kind of dangerous baby, he's not afraid to do, gives it back to Jimmer. Jimmer gives it out here to Sean Hogan, it's cleared. And here again, makes a fantastic save. But not only does he save it, but he actually bats the ball away with his wrist as well. Like, when you look at it again, just doesn't block it out, he actually flicks it, beats Ger Farrer on the way in. He has a terrible lot to do with the Cork. A lot of people are saying around his puck out so short, but it's just the net that they have that they've worked on. Now, I know that every county knows this, and every county will try to stop him. So it's interesting to see how the Tipperary team are going to stop this.
Sherlock Land, you've looked at the Tipperary team, you've looked at what they need to do today, and I think they're aware of that themselves. They've made changes, and you think they've made these changes to sort of counteract Cork in their half-back line?
Well, I think they've made them mainly on the basis of the second half of the Munster final last year, because, you know, every commentator, newspaper, radio, television, all of us, we all talk about the greatness of the Cork half-back line. Now, the Cork half-back line's greatness has been based on their half-back line being allowed to keep in a straight line, almost a flat back three. Now, if you see against Waterford here, the Tipperary half-forward line won very little ball, especially when James Murray came on in the second half, Kim McGrath went to midfield. They just won nothing at all. They didn't even win their own puck-outs. They were cleaned out by the Waterford half-back line. You see, nobody contesting the ball in the air, which has been Tipperary's fault over the last 2 or 3 years. Now, I think that if they take Sean O'Gara out that wing, look at this ball here, and you open up that wing and get diagonal ball into the full forward line for Tipperary, then they have a great chance. It's Lark Corbett and Owen Kelly. They must feed Lark Corbett and Owen Kelly today.
Yeah.
And the only way they'll feed Ord is by dragging John Garner, Sean O'G out of position, leaving room on the wings, and from there playing the ball diagonally across the field. That's the tactic I would try, because everything else has been tried. Physically taking them on has been tried, it has lost. Taking them on, running them has been tried, it has lost. And this is one tactic that hasn't been tried yet, and maybe it will be successful.
Ger, we have about 5 minutes to go to know will all of these tactics be put in place, and will they work? That's all coming up right after this break.
He's had it coming to him, Jimmy. You know
Johnny, he's an old man. He can't help
Fine, Jimmy. Forget it.
No way. Sure, I get out.
Come on.
All right. Thanks.
You're opening. Could be a long time before they make the final again, Pops.
Let's hope it's not a draw, Shawnee.
Welcome back again to the programme. A look at the team lineups right now. Here's Ger Canning.
Michael, we're going to take a check first of all on Cork. And Cork unbeaten in their last 10 championship matches, stretching back to this weekend 2 years ago, make one change from the team that started against Clare last month. Ben O'Connor is sufficiently recovered from injury to enable his recall, and he returns at right corner forward to the exclusion of Kieran Murphy. This means that namesake Cian O'Connor, a recognised cornerback or halfback, continues at number 12. Tipperary clearly feel the need to boost their prospects by making 3 changes from the starting 15 against Waterford 3 weeks ago. Out go Philly Marr, Colin Morrissey and Micheál Webster, and coming in are Paul Ormond in the full back line, Paul Kelly in midfield and Lark Corbett wearing number 14. Paul Curran moves to full back. Ormond is recalled after a 3-year absence, while Kelly and Corbett were introduced as subs during the semi-final.
Ger Canning, back to Ger very, very shortly, but before we pick up on commentary, let's get the predictions from the two lads. Cyril Farrell, last few words on this one. Who's going to win the Munster final?
I still think Cork are going to win it, but they'll have to stand up. I think the Tip will be very physical early on. They're going to be very hot. Dabs referred to there in his interview that they want him looking up the stand, so they're going to make it hot for take on Cork early on and try to get them to change their pattern. But I still think Cork will weather the storm and win the match.
So, rude awakening then for Tipperary?
Could be.
Ger, you were romantic earlier on. You're going to have to get a
He's probably not off at this stage.
He's now. I think the thing to watch out for is just to see how the Tipperary half-back line on the wing against the Cork half-forward line. If they clean them out, and if they supply good ball into the Tip full forward line, then Tip has a chance. But you have to respect what Cork have done over the last 2 years. They're favourites going into this game, and I just couldn't go against them.
Yeah, I mean, really Babs has taken a gamble, and Babs likes an old gamble every now and again on this one in terms of the way he's lined up. He's also missing Philly Marr, of course, in the full back line, which is...
But he hasn't. He likes this. Babs has kind of fellas like Jimmy Fitzgerald up front will take on that. He could wind up midfield. Babs likes even to be underdogs because really there's no pressure because at the start of the year no one gave Tip a chance. There was no one following him. Very few against Limerick. They picked up against Waterford, and now there's at least best part of 30,000 behind him.
And still, he has promised us
momentum.
He has promised us a few surprises.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking out for. If he needs a surprise to turn the tables here, maybe Babs has that magic bottle up his sleeve or in his trousers or something else like that.
No, but we'll settle for free sleeve for the moment. Thanks very much. In the commentary box this afternoon here in Thurles is Ger Canning and Michael Dignan.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Well, we are looking forward to what should be a wonderful occasion here. There's so much noise around Thurles and Semple Stadium in particular, as Ger Redzer O'Grady leads Brendan Cummins and the rest around this wonderful arena for hurling, well recognised as the finest hurling pitch in the country at this stage, and has been for years and years. And that a tribute, I suppose, to all the people who've looked after it with loving care, and the latest of those is Jimmy Purcell, and this is Jimmy's last occasion today as groundsman here in charge of Semple Stadium, and it looks impressive. He's a wonderful gentleman, but retiring at the end of the year. The Cork side then, with Pat Mulcahy from Newton Shandrum leading them around. Michael Dignan's alongside me. What a setting.
Unbelievable, Ger. Great atmosphere here today. You know, the backdoor system is there, but Munster final day is special, and I suppose especially with Cork and Tip in Thurles, that's what everyone looks forward to. So it's all set up for a great match. Let's hope it lives up to expectations and it's not a flat one-sided match.
People have been toying with the idea, or mentioning in dispatches, the idea of tinkering with the championship, but this is a day unique. It's something we've all inherited as sports lovers. Irrespective of the code, you want to go and watch the artistry, the skill, the endeavour, the courage, the bravery of all these wonderful hurlers that we're going to see this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably one of the reasons we haven't seen an open draw format up to now is really the Munster final. It has that bit of glamour, and, you know, I suppose everybody wants to be part of an occasion like this. Like, the players could not but be affected by the crowd, by the atmosphere, and, you know, regardless of the fact that they're still in the championship if they lose, it's a very, very special occasion. But maybe we're going to go back to the old system where it's knockout. That would add a little bit more tension, I think. Lads are very, very relaxed. In the old days there'd be more pressure on them, but you know, really looking forward to it. I'd go along with what Ger Lucknan said in the studio. Huge emphasis on the Tipperary half forward line. They really have to put it up to the Cork half back line. If they do, Tipperary have a great chance.
The team's been led around here by the band of the 1st Southern Brigade. I think they were in Porky Queeve last year as well. Provided a wonderful musical accompaniment that afternoon. It's something special. The colour, the passion, the excitement, it's everywhere and anywhere. And there's such an atmosphere downtown. You saw Ivan Niquilin in the reports a little while ago down in Liberty Square. The place was awash with red and white and blue and gold. And, you know, there were people there who made the journey from Cork overnight just to make it a full weekend of hurling. So much to talk about, so much to consider. And, of course, the prospects of an exciting 70 minutes up around the Killinen end. Well, that's where the Tipperary fans are to be seen in huge numbers. Cork supporters, as is traditional at the stage, at the town end. The Cork fans were on the road from 8 o'clock this morning. It's not a very long journey, but everybody wanted to get here, make a day of it, and that's been the way down the years. As long from the time I was a kid, that was the way, going to the Munster final.
And Ger, when I was playing with Offaly, I played maybe 50 times in Crow Park, but the one day in 1998 we played Clare here in the third game, the famous trilogy with Clare, and I heard so much about Thurles as a venue, but that day when we came into the square, I really learned what it was all about. The atmosphere that day was just incredible, and it was the one match I'd have to say was the most enjoyable match I ever played for Offaly because of the crowd. They're so near the pitch, a brilliant surface. This morning there was some doubt, maybe the grass was a little bit longer, but I was out there beforehand. It's absolutely perfect, and it's the one pitch for any hurler. The ball bounces through. There's no excuses. If you can hurl, you can hurl in Thurles.
One man whom I know the Cork players want to say hello to, he's in the Cork University Hospital, and that's Kevin Hennessy. Kevin, who's been a selector in recent times with underage teams, can't be here, not well at the moment, but we wish you a very speedy recovery, Kevin, and look forward to seeing you back very, very quickly indeed. It is Cork who are going to play from right to left in the first half, which means they're going to have a breeze behind them. It's a lively enough breeze, not a hurricane by any manner of means, but what wind there is going to support Cork for the opening 35 minutes of action.
Yeah, Jerry, we saw in the minor match it was a big factor. You know, Tipperary led maybe 5 minutes into the second half, but the wind definitely played a role in Cork's revival in the second half, and I think it's stronger maybe than a bit. You know, it looks very calm out there with the beautiful sunshine, but the wind I think would definitely be favouring Cork in the first half, and you'd want a 4 or 5 point lead.
Everybody wishes everybody else the best. There's a crowd of about 53,000 here.
Jerry, I saw Babs having a word with Dickie Murphy about a half an hour ago in the tunnel, and he wasn't joking with him, so I'd say he was letting him know that he wanted a few favours done today, so I don't think that's to go down with, I don't think Dickie will fall for that at this stage.
Far from it. Dickie Murphy has done 4 All-Ireland finals. The last Munster final was in 1999. And the 117th Munster hurling final for 2006, that is, gets underway. A 75th time that these two counties have met in the decider. And straight away it's Tipperary trying to gain primary advantage here, and Conor O'Mahony drives it away down the field, switches inside, runs on there, Fitzgerald trying to get inside, kicking it off the goalkeeper. Donald O'Cusack getting in the way there of Diarmuid Fitzgerald, denying him a certain goal chance. Blistering start here, ran all the way through, uncertainty at the back, and Diarmuid Fitzgerald just got by Diarmuid O'Sullivan, but was very grateful to see Donald O'Cusack come out.
Yeah, I think we expected that change. Diarmuid Fitzgerald straight in on Diarmuid O'Sullivan, and you know, Fitzgerald is superb wing back, but done a great job for Tipperary this year up front. I thought against Waterford the last day, I thought actually he was man of the match, even though Kelly put up a huge score. Fitzgerald created a lot of chances and got in there. He's very pacey, got in behind O'Sullivan, and Donald did well.
So first 65 of the match to be taken. Paul Kelly from Mullinahone leaving it here. Taken by his brother and put over the bar. Owen Kelly still given the job of taking the freeze. That's a very good start. Last year Paul was taking them, but this time he decides to leave it to younger brother Owen. And Tipperary get off to a flyer, and Babs Keating is down there behind the goal, having a word or two in somebody's ear.
Yeah, and I think, Jared, this is about the Slitters. It's gone on for the last few years with the Cork team. They bring out their own Slitters. They may not be the match ball on the day, but to switch every time there's a puck out. See Donald thrown it into the crowd before Dickie came in, and that's what Babs is right to point it out, because it does give the Cork team an advantage.
Well, Babs is well aware of all the little bits and pieces that go into a major hurling match nowadays. Lots of things happening. Well spotted indeed.
Babs has shown all his experience there, and a bit of roguery that we know him well for.
One of the great characters.
One of the greats.
Donald Oak pucking out then, all the way down towards Brian Corcoran. Lets it fall down, however. Tipperary under pressure at the back. And that's going to be a line ball to Tipperary. This ball thrown away here, and there you are again. That's what's going on behind the goal.
It's like a ball by in Wimbledon there. He's kept going.
You need eyes at the back of your head. So a line ball to be taken by Eamon Corcoran, who's having a wonderful season, really back to his best. I think enjoying the liberty that he's getting for playing at number 5 as opposed to cornerback last year. Interesting, I'm watching Babs Keating walking up and down the sideline. He's got a slitter in his hand. Don't know when that's going to be thrown in. Anyway, let's go with the line ball. Tipperary trying to apply the pressure early on. Cork time to come to grips with it. Held onto there by John O'Brien from Toomey Vara. Inside towards Fitzgerald again, breaks away towards Lord Corbett. As he did in the last match, he's cracked another! 2 goals in 2 games for Lord Corbett. In the 4th minute. It's his 4th ever goal in championship hurling. Well, again, misunderstanding at the back by Cork, but credit to diagonal running across of Lord Corbett, picked it up beautifully and swept it in past Donald O'Cusack, and Tipperary have made a dream start. Back here, Sherry O'Connor over the bar. Cork's first score. It's a flying start to this match.
Yeah, Jared, Owen Kelly had moved out to field there. Brian Murphy has picked him up as expected, but like Jared Lucknow was saying before the game, John O'Brien played the ball inside to Corbett, and a great diagonal ball, and Larry Corbett has the pace coming across. The Cork full backline have looked a bit dodgy in the last couple of matches, and a great start for Tip forwards.
Well, Tip are in there trying to expose them. Shologo Halpy trying to get the ball away to Jerry O'Connor here. Challenged there by Shane McGrath, the Ballynahinch player, who runs on here towards Timmy McCarthy, who does an awful lot of hard work, very often unseen by the fans. Off the stick there of Joe Dean, line ball to Tipperary. The champions rocked early on here in the final at Semple Stadium. Long way to go.
Yeah, it looks like Cork have identified Conor O'Mahony, the centre back for Tipperary. They're pucking long balls down the middle, and Jerry O'Connor was in over the top there, so they obviously maybe have looked at a weakness with him under a high ball.
Well, he's a newcomer. It's his first championship season. Huge one there. In towards Redzer. John O'Brien's there as well. It's John O'Brien who has it. 45 metres out, let's fly, but does so by putting it to the left, and a wasted opportunity for Tipperary. Quick puck out towards right half forward this time, towards Cian O'Connor. Conor O'Mahony going across for it. Takes possession, little block on it. Line ball. Came off the Cork sticks. Very intense occasion. Everybody G'd up for it.
Yeah, just watching the Tip half back line there, what Clare did when the wing forwards went, the wing backs went with them. What Tipperary did there, they stayed in their position. That's what you should do. There's no point running 70 yards across the field. Just let pick up the player that comes into your zone, and that's what Tip did there, and it worked well for them.
This is Paul Ormond, back after a 3-year absence. Taken here by John Gardner. Towards Cian O'Connor. Breaks on. Ormond once again coming. Shouldered by O'Connor. Released inside. Good movement here. Paul Kelly down towards his brother. Diarmuid Fitzgerald might get there first, or the other Diarmuid O'Sullivan. It's swept out there in the end by Brian Murphy. A switch to left corner back. Out into the middle towards Gardner once again. Under pressure there. Trying to keep it in play over here. Ben O'Connor leaving it there for Brian Corcoran. Back it comes once again here towards Niall McCarthy. Letting fly in towards Joe Dean. Bounces. Quickly into it there came Eamon Corcoran. Sean O'Halpine, lovely little touch to Timmy McCarthy, trying to get it to a colleague, unable to do so. Pressure play. O'Halpine back once again towards Jerry O'Connor. O'Connor scored the first, looks for another. This has gone to the right, this has gone wide. The tactics are fascinating. Everybody trying to spot weaknesses in the opposing makeup, but it's still just settling down. Only 7 minutes are gone. Goal between them. Now the puck outs of both goalkeepers are going to be very, very important. And Brendan Cummins picks out Shane McGrath there. Can they hold possession and set up a chance? Ronan Curran coming across, the bars man. Huge one down. Declan Fanning puts up his hand, misses it. Pressure once again on the inside line. Niall McCarthy looking for a support player. Cian O'Connor trying to sweep it across to himself. Does well. Trying to go by. Taken down in the end there by Hugh Maloney. And it's going to be a free in for Cork before it can get out of hand. Referee is in quickly. Free on the 20-metre line. Hugh Maloney, the one who's been called across. Nina era Oak player. Last man to make the connection there. And he gets a ticking for that. This was where he challenged Cian O'Connor high. No question about the foul. Referee is content with just a warning. Joe Dean looking for another point. Cork's second. Looking for his first of the day. He's got a good record in finals. That's point number 1 for the afternoon for the man from Killer. Joe Dean playing in his 6th Munster final. That's 2 goals and 33 points now he's got for Cork in all of those contests. Well, Tipperary will be hoping to add to the bright start that they made, not allow Cork achieve a dominant period of 12-15 minutes where they're capable of putting on a lot of scores. Tom Kenny taking it, and Tom Kenny was dragged back. Well, they'll need to be contesting with the likes of Tom Kenny and Jerry O'Connor in midfield, the acknowledged best midfield duo in the country right now.
They are huge athletes, both of them, and I think Cork will be happy enough. Tip had a great starter, but Cork have got a couple of points now and settled down, and you know, Tip just have to keep up this pace, and can they do that? That's a big question.
John Gardner. It's going to drop short. Brendan Cummins does well. Sun has gone in beyond the clouds. Declan Fanning racing after it one-handed, competing there with Niall McCarthy. Linesman signalling the ball will be to Cork. Remember, in the semi-final, Cork were 6 points to 2 down against Clare. Came good after about 10 minutes. And there's been this feeling that if Cork are going to be beaten in the championship, the opposing team is going to have to get goals. Tip have got one already. Ben O'Connor cracking this one, and it's just inches to the right of the post. Just out of luck. Ben still recovering from injury, and indeed that injury has been nagging him now, going right back to the club final on St Patrick's Day. Brendan Cummins again trying to pick out one, succeeding in picking out Shane McGrath, dropping it right into his hand. This is Brian Murphy, the Bride Rovers player, linking up with Sean O'Halpine, sweeping it back downfield once again. Eamon Corcoran trying to bat it down to a colleague. It went loose. McCarthy got there first, then Joe Dean, 45 metres out. Paul Kelly was after him but left him loose, and Joe Dean puts it over the bar, and it's a second for Joe Dean. And Cork have eaten into the Tipperary lead. There's only one between them. That's where Cork were showing their ability to scrap, their ability to play as a team, working together. And when they do that well, they do it probably better than most around. Ronan Curran here, keeping it away from Ger O'Grady. Knocked down here well by Ben O'Connor. Keeping it on the ground to Niall McCarthy. On his left-hand side, miss-hit. Still gets it in towards Cian O'Connor. It runs to Brian Corcoran, to Dean, chance to bat it, runs loose, swept outside, and swept in. And it's Brian Corcoran who's got it. 12 minutes gone, and Brian Corcoran, after all the hesitation in the Tipperary defence, gets another goal. His 6th goal in the championship. This should have been cleared, it wasn't. Dean back across the face of goal. That's where they should have got it out. But that's where Brian Corcoran was at his most decisive, lethal finish. And the number 14 cracks it home. And Cork lead by 1-3 to 1-1. The response from Tipperary, however, is impressive. And John O'Brien gets the point, his first of the afternoon, to narrow it to just a 1-point game.
Great score. That's what Tip have to do when they win possession. They have to make use of it. The previous 2 balls, Shane McGrath caught them in the middle of the field, but they were cleared easily out of the Cork defence, and the goal and the point came off that. Great finish by Brian Corcoran. He's added so much to this forward line since he's come back 2 years ago.
Well, neither full back line in particular, looking absolutely rock solid so far in this contest. But this is Brian Murphy. He's doing okay up to this point here, but challenged by Owen Kelly. Got the opening point from a 65 over his right shoulder this time. Lark Corbett in there challenging. It's Pat Mulcahy. Some Tipperary fans feel that he had fouled Lark Corbett. Referee not interested, and it's John Gardner who gets it away down the field. Under the dropping ball is Paul Ormond, challenged by Ben O'Connor. Ormond with it. Jersey pulled, free to Tipperary. It's fast and furious.
It's great to see Paul Ormond back. What a cornerback he was in the 2001 team, and he's suffered some horrific injuries since then. But Babs would have had him in UCD, and he looks to be in great shape. A super tenacious, modern type cornerback, very athletic.
He did really well in the league campaign here recently in Tipperary. A lot of admiring glances from people and a lot of good reports. This is John Carroll. Needs to get into this game. Runs on there beautifully. Kelly! Good save! Donald Cusack denying Owen Kelly. Hit straight at him. Out to Jerry O'Connor. The mobile midfielder. Back at cornerback when he hit that one out. Comes out here once again towards Eamon Corcoran. Batted down here in the middle of the field. Tom Kenny racing forward. The angle ball in. Ben O'Connor comes. Brendan Cummins comes as well. And Brendan Cummins does really well. Brave, decisive and courageous. Down towards Redzer, stopped there by Ronan Curran, broken loose into the centre of the field, and the foul on John Gardner, free to Cork. Great pace and urgency to the match.
There is, Gerard. Both full backlines under a bit of pressure. Owen Kelly shows all his strength here, and a little snapshot, probably just the right height for Don Logan, a nice sharp save. But both full backlines under pressure when the ball is going in, but a very great start to the game, full of movement and good hurling.
So there's an injury which requires attention to Brian Murphy from Bride Rovers. Bride Rovers in Rathcormac. Many people will know it if they travel the road between Fermoy and Cork. This free to be taken by John Gardner. John playing today in his 20th championship match. 23-year-old, now ex-student I think we could say, from CIT, letting this one in, and he puts it over the bar from a huge distance out. Very well taken free and well appreciated by the Cork fans and the crowd we're looking at here. They're happy. Two between them, 1-4 to 1-2, the champions leading. But Tipperary showing that if they get good primary ball into the inside forward line, they can cause problems. That's Redzer O'Grady. Beautifully taken down here. It's Kelly inevitably. Outside here to John Carroll. Hitting it quickly. Off the post and over the bar. Good point. John Carroll, good response there by the Ross Gray player. Owen Kelly involved.
Yeah, and Owen Kelly shown, there's more to him than just scoring. Threw the ball out, 3 men around him, and John Carroll a good point. But again, a diagonal ball across the field. Ger talked about it before the game. It's the only way you'll open up that Cork. If you're playing the ball straight down the line, they're going to dominate. And a short puck out gone astray there by Donlogue. I know we comment on it a lot here. Donlogue reminds me of it when he meets me, but the short puck out, not working. The long one was working well enough earlier on.
Well, they're doing their best to try and break up the triumvirate of Gardner, Curran and O'Halpy. That half back line, hugely and widely celebrated. It's a great effort. Dropped short, however, from Eamon Corcoran to Donald O'Cusack, and a chance now for Cork, having defended, to counter-attack. Gardner, huge one down towards Ben O'Connor, takes it well with his left hand. The snapshot from Ben, difficult one, outside and wide. Just trying to find his form. Missed a lot. He's come back in for a couple of practice matches recently.
I think it's hugely important here. Both John O'Brien and John Carroll have got a point from play now. That means John Gardner and Sean Ogue, it'll focus them to stay with them and not to be sweeping around looking for loose ball. Very important for Tipperary's chances.
This is Carroll again, the man you're talking about, getting away from Cian O'Connor this time, batted out by Brian Murphy. John Gardner straight into the centre towards Shane McGrath, comes instead here towards Jerry O'Connor. It's a midfield battle of ferocious intensity. Once again it's McGrath getting it back there towards Lark Orbit from a huge distance out, really going for it. That's a disappointing strike. Maybe consistency is sometimes lacking in his game. Can have those great moments like that goal that he cracked in after 4 minutes.
Yeah, he had a lot more time there than he realised. He could have just turned, steadied himself and put it over.
O'Halpine. Good control up to that point there, but he's given it away to Eamon Corcoran. A lot of clearances are going astray. Diarmuid O'Sullivan, pressure applied at him. Help coming in there from Pat Mulcahy, team captain this year, of course. Still Mulcahy. Loose player ahead of him. That's Tom Kenny. Cross to Timmy McCarthy. One of those who failed to score against Clare, but did a lot of good things. Ben O'Connor. This time he measures it to perfection over the bar. Great score by Ben O'Connor. Two between them again.
Yeah, that's the Cork play at their best in the running game. Simple hand pass to Tom Kenny on to Timmy McCarthy, and a simple pass out. That's what Timmy McCarthy does so well for Cork. He creates space for all the other players around him.
Brendan Cummins trying to maintain a good record of holding possession from the puckouts. It's in towards Owen Kelly again. Again it is Brian Murphy who's trying to stick as tightly as possible to him without fouling. Referee stepping in, might decide to throw the ball. Redzer O'Grady is lining up for duty alongside Ronan Curran. And it's Curran who uses his leg to get the ball out. Redzer trying to get it back in for Tipperary, and John Gardner says, leave it to me. Again, the angle ball into the corner, but Ben O'Connor had withdrawn this time, leaving it easy for Paul Curran. Slotting into full back this afternoon in place of Philly Marr. Again they angle that ball across. Brian Murphy has read the intentions. Owen Kelly arriving late for duty. Murphy getting there first. Did he turn around and take too many steps? The fans thought so. Tipperary fans, mind you. That's Ronan Curran. Across towards Ben O'Connor once again, taking Paul Ormond out with him. Next challenge is going to come in from the other Paul Kelly. It's Timmy McCarthy now, hand passing it to a loose player. It's Tom Kenny once again, this time freeing it forward towards Ben O'Connor, coming in at an angle. What a shot, what a goal! It seemed almost impossible from the angle at which he was approaching Brendan Cummins' goal, but Ben O'Connor has cracked in another.
And Jared, that's the team play of Cork at its best. Timmy McCarthy hand passed to Tom Kenny onto Ben O'Connor, and even though he doesn't look to be running that freely with that injury, crashed the ball into net when he got the chance. Great goal by Cork.
It's his fourth in the championship. He's a player who's suffering from a hip problem, but you wouldn't have thought it too much from the way in which he was approaching that. Pressure now on Paul Curran. Pressure applied by Brian Corcoran. Stepping in is Joe Dean near the sideline. Curran again trying to take it up. Ferocious pressure on the Tipperary full back line right now. Eamon Corcoran trying to take command of the situation. In there as well, Shane McGrath. Left there, referee's whistle signals a free out to Tipperary.
And Corcoran really is a nightmare for any full back line. You just cannot get away from him. He does that so well. He starts as a first line of defence there. But back to Ben O'Connor, he started that move maybe 90 yards out from his own goals and finished it, even though he doesn't, as I said, look to be running that freely, and he's limping over there in his position now. Another angle here, there's one look, bang, into the back of the net, but he started that out 80, 90 yards out the field and finished it in the net. Great athlete.
Meanwhile, some running repairs being carried out. So Eamon Corcoran from the JK Brackens club, which is just up the road from here. 8th championship season for him, running it off. He's only got one Munster medal to show for all of that.
Tip will be disappointed, Gerald. 20 minutes gone, playing very well, and still 5 points down. Just the whole little Cork are.
But a long, long way to go as John Carroll picks it up and releases it inside. That's over the bar. Nicely put over there, in a second for John O'Brien in this match. A little bit of relief for the Tipperary fans, part of the 50,000 plus throng at Semple Stadium. John O'Brien has been contributing 2 points per game so far in this year's championship. In his own quiet way, he's been doing really well. Donald Cusack with the puck out. It's 1 against 2. Timmy McCarthy is beaten for this one. Taken away from him by Hugh Maloney. Possession regained by John O'Brien. On towards John Carroll. Little race for this one, facing back towards his own goal is Pat Mulcahy. He's left it there to Lark Corbett. Lark Corbett releases inside to Fitzgerald. Oh, it comes off the goalkeeper. And an amazing intervention there by Donald O'Cusack, who once again denies Diarmaid Fitzgerald. That's the second time in the game so far.
Yeah, Joe, really should have been a goal. Lark Corbett did very, very well here, and a beautiful pass inside. Great vision, and Diarmaid really should have put it away, but Donald did well, stood his ground. But Tipperary have had a few goal chances. Now they're going to take a little bit of encouragement from that.
Well, they've had 3 goal chances, and he's been beaten only once so far. Diarmaid Fitzgerald, the UCD student, of course, Dampens knows him terribly well from the Fitzgibbon Cup campaigns and the Dublin County Championships as well. And he has the height and the strength in there, although he is noticeably strapped up. That leg is strapped up. Clearly the hamstring is causing him difficulties. Owen Kelly for the second time, hitting a 65 and hitting it over the bar. His 2 points so far, both coming from frees. And they are distance frees as well. Cork not conceding frees, the handy ones, the 35 metres jobs.
No, they're not, and they did a lot of, they gave away a lot of soft frees the last days, particularly Pat Mulcahy, but much more discipline today.
Here's Ronan Curran, that was clever. Oh. Someone got beyond Conor O'Mahony, should have cut it out. And Tipper glad that Paul Curran is in there ahead of Brian Corcoran. Out as far as Jerry O'Connor. Once again it's to Niall McCarthy. Huge one out, but that's gone left. And that's 4 wides now for the Munster and All-Ireland champions. So a goal the margin. Brendan Cummins sweeping it down all the way in. Oh, great catch by Ronan Curran. He was going backwards, showed wonderful athleticism and a good eye, and there were steps taken, and it's a free against him. Free into Tipperary.
I think that's pretty harsh. A great catch, you know, he fell over Dermot O'Sullivan. You know, hit the ground and got up, and you know, I think it was harsh enough. Really, he played the ball as quickly as he could.
There wasn't an awful lot he could have done about that. Cork back defending. Tipperary's free. So once again, Owen Kelly stands over it. He'll just want to pop this over the bar and put two between them. No difficulty whatsoever.
It's a great response by Tipperary. You know, they were 5 points down 3 minutes ago to get the last 3 points really back into the game, and credit them to really putting it up to Cork.
Well, I think they've shown wonderful fighting spirit. These are the statistics so far. What grabs you there most?
Very few frees, but that'll be typical with Dickie Murphy. And I suppose the number of wides, you know, a lot of pressure on from both sides, not converting all their chances. Only 50-50.
Towards Brian Corcoran, breaks down here, and Paul Curran kept his eye on it. Needed reinforcements there. Conor O'Mahony couldn't get it out, but it's out eventually into the centre here. Declan Fanning, the Killinall player. Huge one down towards Larkhor, but operating atop of the left. Trying to beat the ball for pace. Does so. Driving it across towards Diarmuid Fitzgerald. Wolf's going farther and farther out from goal. Helped there by the presence of Sean O'Halpine. O'Halpine to Jerry O'Connor, running into the midfielder Shane McGrath. They get it away out towards Ben O'Connor, and there was a loose player inside. Had Ben managed to get there, Cian O'Connor was just ahead of him, unmarked in the corner. Let's go down to the sideline for a moment to Tony O'Donoghue. Tony.
Thanks very much indeed, Ger. Well, Owen Kelly has contributed 3 points for Tipperary, but all from place balls. He'll have to do better if they're to win this.
Well, I mean, it's early days yet, Tony, but a significant move is that he's gone to full forward now in on top of Dermot O'Sullivan. Brian Murphy did have the upper hand there in that first half period, you know, but there's been some dominant performance. Eamon Cochran on the other side for Tip has been very, very good as well in that first half. And I suppose the big difference is Cork did get the 2 goals, and Tip had have their chances at the other side, but Donald Cusack has matched the shots.
Oh, that's bounced very dangerously. John Gardner all the way off the stick of Brendan Cummins and up and over the bar.
Yeah, dangerous ball. Unusual for Brendan Cummins to let the ball bounce like that. You know, normally he would have come out and caught that in his chest, but dangerous thing to let bounce, but hopped over the bar, luckily enough for him.
Well, now, as Tomas was saying there, just to pick up on that point, Owen Kelly has gone in on Dermot O'Sullivan. This was a move I thought they might make at some stage. They'll make lots and lots of moves in the course of the 70 minutes, but they're going to clearly see whether they can test him and just see how relaxed the rock is this afternoon.
Yeah, I think just the one weakness Owen Kelly has, and we've talked about, is not the fastest guy in the world, and there's a lot of space inside in the corner, maybe 30-40 yards run, and Brian Murphy has been beating him to the ball every time, so he'll have shorter runs inside the full forward and he can use his strength.
And of course Babs has done his homework. John Allen now has to decide whether or not Diarmuid is to stay on Owen Kelly at full forward, or whether Brian Murphy should track back and pick him up.
No, Cork will leave him there. Brian Murphy wouldn't have the physical presence under a high ball in around the square.
Well, this is Brian Murphy now up against Fitzgerald, and again look where Jerry O'Connor comes, almost on the end line. Huge clearance under pressure, man with an enormous engine, Jerry O'Connor. This is Timmy McCarthy trying to angle the ball, but it's cut out really well by Paul Ormond. Good play by the cornerback, who's come back into the action looking for another Munster medal. John Carroll, big one down towards Owen Kelly. Dermot O'Sullivan has come out with him. Pat Mulcahy's in behind. The referee says play on. Tipperary people looking for a free. Comes as far as Niall McCarthy. Niall McCarthy setting sail. Not the best of hand passes. Tip tried to intervene, but it's Jerry O'Connor again, from being a corner back to being in midfield to putting it just wide. When you consider that he couldn't even make the starting 15 in the Munster final in 2003, 2 years later he was hurler of the year. That was a great catch by John Carroll.
Great catch, and in fairness to the Tip half forward line, much maligned before, and they're doing very, very well so far. I think Cork are shooting a few uncharacteristic wides from out the field. Joe Dean was free there and should have, you know, maybe the ball just played into him. A nice simple ball inside.
5 wides as it happens for Cork. Here's Jerry O'Connor again. This time fumbles. This time it's taken up by Paul Kelly. And this time Paul Kelly lets fly and puts it over. He'll be remembered for the 7 points he got in last year's Munster final. Well, that's a start. and it means there's only 2 between them. From a huge distance out, this is what Kelly does so well. May not be the tightest of markers, but my goodness, when it comes to long-range shooting, he's top class.
Yeah, but he's marking a lot tighter today, Jared. Tom Kenny hasn't been in the game at all.
Here's Mulcahy. Into Timmy McCarthy. He's seen a lot of the ball. Towards Cian O'Connor, has switched up to top of the right. Back towards Ben O'Connor. Goal scorer a little while ago. Blocked down brilliantly that time. They work it in towards Paul Ormond. That was a good block by Hugh Maloney there. Getting it forward here towards Lark Corbett. Way out the field. Towards Owen Kelly against Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Both players on the ground. Referee, let's play continue. Brian Murphy there with Sean O'Halpine coming in to help. Diarmuid Fitzgerald chasing after him, but he's held back and it's going to be a free out for Cork. A cool and a composed Sean O'Halpine, who was the RTE Sports Personality of 2005. And the referee is having words, and a ticking indeed for Diarmuid Fitzgerald.
I think it's something that people don't realise at times. John Gardner, Ronan Curran and Sean Oak are all about 6'3". You know, a bit of physical hurl is not going to bother them in the least, and particularly Sean Oak, great sportsman, but he's able to use his strength as well. But I think that was a free, and I think Diarmuid O'Sullivan held down Owen Kelly and the ball on the way in there, and Diarmuid was lucky enough to get away with it.
I think a lot of people on the ground felt it as well. Here's Jodine. Good block down. Hugh Maloney again. Comes out once again, and that time it's Eamon Corcoran getting it away down the field for Tipperary. Redzer O'Grady holding it up, has possession, driving it, looking for a score, but really he had other options. He had 2 men waiting inside, and the 2 men were Lark Corbett and Diarmuid Fitzgerald. Wasted opportunity. Quick puck out this time to Jerry O'Connor, and Cork doing what they've been doing over the last number of years. When a team loses its concentration, they go for the short one, but the referee has blown his whistle, and there were 3 catches this time. Only allowed 2, so it's going to be a free for Tipperary. But that lapse of concentration, Tipperary need to be careful about what Cork are up to. There's an injury here, as you can see. Ronan Curran. So once again the physio required. Colin Lane. Ronan Curran won an awful lot of well-deserved applause and good mentions after he performed so well for John Allen's team in the semi-final against Clare. Came back to his best form that afternoon.
Super game that day, yeah. Just the last few minutes I noticed ball in.
Just 1 second, I want to go down to Tony O'Donoghue for a moment. Sorry about that, Tony.
Well, Babs Keating has been getting word to Diarmuid Fitzgerald to try and go narrow, to get in alongside Owen Kelly and to get the breaking ball, because he thinks he can benefit from that tactic. So he's getting Diarmuid Fitzgerald to try and get in as close as he can and play off Owen Kelly.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, I think what I've noticed in the last few minutes, the ball is breaking in there. Sean Oak is picking it all up there. He's really drifting back into that space, and John Carroll, you know, on a hot day like today, maybe not the greatest athlete in the world at this stage, you know, not able to cover that ground as quickly as Sean Oak.
That's Owen Kelly striking it crisply and putting it over the bar. Very, very rarely misses. That's 4 from 4. And they've, by and large, been long-range frees, except for 1, I think. At least 2 minutes of stoppage time will be played. And it's 2-6 to 1-8, and it's Tipperary again trying to engineer something, and Diarmuid Fitzgerald this time says, I stood my ground, and that should be a free the other way.
It should be. He's making up for the last one, which I often see in refereeing. Absolutely no way was that a free. Owen Kelly played for the free. He turned and faced into Diarmuid O'Sullivan, and it looks like it's quits now. The last one definitely was a free. That was definitely a free out.
And this one can level up the game for Tipperary.
Tipperary be delighted with this. Their confidence, you can see their backline gaining in confidence. They're really getting on top of the Cork forwards and closing them down. And most of the Cork forwards are finding it very, very hard to make an impression now at this stage.
Well, the crowd are really enjoying it. Owen Kelly ready to take. Referee wants everybody back around the exclusion zone. The 20 metres.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him going for a goal here.
He might.
I think he's going to go for it.
He's happy to put it over and level the game, and they are level for the first time. And Owen Kelly has got 5 points. All of them are from frees. But that doesn't matter to the Tip fans or to the Tip team or management.
And Tip are playing against a pretty strong wind as well, Jerry. You know, so they're going to be delighted with the way the first half has gone. They conceded 2 goals at bad times for them, and yet they came straight back into the game. And they're going to be, you can just notice their backs, they're really gaining in confidence and getting on top of the Cork forward.
Babs will remember back in 1987 when he was here in a Munster final leading his team against Cork for the first time with the championship as manager. Previous year Cork had been the winners of the title in 1986, and of course, as we know, Tipperary with Nicky English and Pat Fox and so on, they drew in 87 and won a famous match in Killarney in a replay. And against that, Tip were the champions in 1989, and Cork came here almost no hopers and won with Mark Foley scoring 2 goals and 7 that famous day in 1990. I thought it was 2.
We have a pound and a euro on that, Jerry. I think it was 3-7. Brendan Cummins will fancy his chances from here. You know, this will definitely land in around the square, you'd imagine.
And Diarmuid Fitzgerald is ready for it, marking Owen Kelly. Teams level. We're playing the first minute of stoppage time. There's about a minute and a half left. Who will take a lead going into the break? Breaks down here, and is Ronan Curran, who steps out of the troubled area, takes it away. Not such a good clearance, straight to Hugh Maloney. Darting inside into the centre here, it's Paul Kelly. Renzo O'Grady needed a second touch. Going the long way about it, a pressure applied on Hugh Maloney by Niall McCarthy. They might have done the simpler thing and got in the chance, but credit Cork for the pressure they're applying. Jerry O'Connor up towards Brian Corcoran, who scored one of the goals in the first half. That's Paul Curran, Mullen, a home player. Out here as far as Conor O'Mahony, playing in his first ever Munster hurling final. Ger O'Grady. This is taken once again, and this time the free is to Cork for the foul on Jerry O'Connor. And I make it about 20 seconds of the 2 minutes of stoppage time still to be played. So in a very, very tight game like this one here, long-range frees can be so important at the end of the 70 minutes. John Gardner's 1 out of 2 so far from frees. He got 2 points in all because the other one came from play. There's Gardner. It's landing in the square. Joe Dean, it bounces around awkwardly, and it's taken by Declan Fanning, and the referee blows the whistle. The end of the first half, and listen to the crowd. They've enjoyed it overall. Mistakes were made, certainly, but wonderful entertainment. Lark Corbett cracking home a goal for Tipperary after 4 minutes. Brian Corcoran getting one for Cork after 12. Ben O'Connor then dashing in for one after 20 minutes. And at the end of the first half, the teams are going in level here. And the two managers will have a lot to talk about and a lot to say to their teams after 37 minutes of action here, where Diarmuid O'Sullivan and his colleagues at the back were busy. And the half-time score in Semple Stadium here reads Cork 2 goals and 6 points, Tipperary 1 goal and 9. And we'll have more action, analysis and conversation right after the break.
€500. Oh, and you also get this free toy.
Thanks. Where are your papers? They're in the cab.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, and you also get this free toy.
Thanks.
Brewed to perfection since 1847. Carlsberg. So good, the Danes hate to see it leave.
The Leo on Sport by Chanel.
Prehydrating with Powerade before games is proven to delay muscle fatigue and improve stamina in top athletes. Preparation changes everything. Prepare yourself. Prehydrate with Powerade.
For a different view, the Irish Examiner.
The Munster Final 2006 is at the halfway point here in Thurles, and it's all square. It's Cork 2 goals and 6 points, Tipperary 1 goal and 9 points. Cyril Farr Jollocknan here with me. Coming in the road this morning, I saw a house. There was a tip flag up on the side of the house. There was a sign in the garden, "Come on the Rebels." I hope the marriage is in good shape. It'll be tested in the second half.
Well, it's okay at the moment. It's kind of even Steven at the moment, but a terrific game. You know, great movement, great skill, terrific scores in it. Tipperary made a great start. Cork came back into the game, but this is kind of like Clare and Cork in the All-Ireland semi-final last year. Cork are in trouble here. They're not at the height of their form. Tip are really sharp, driving into the tackle. Now, the two things we talked about before the start. The Tip half-back line are cleaning out the Cork half-forward line. And they are supplying great ball, diagonal ball, right across into their full-forward line. So there's ball going into the full-forward line, into the Tip full-forward line that we didn't expect would be going in such supply at the very, very start. So Tip are really on the ascendancy here. Now, they've missed 2 goals. If they got to there, they'd be well ahead. But Cork are still in this game, and Cork are a second-half team, so it is going to be an intriguing second half.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, but taking up on the point that Joe was making, Cyril, you know, they got early benefit from that ball into the full-forward line. Lara Corbett's goal.
Oh, yeah, and he did the very same like the last game. He's really in top form, and the boys were saying in training he was showing as well. He had a lot to do now. This is a great line ball out here, and he still has a lot to do here. As Gerard said, they're winning this ball, and eventually goes in the half forward and takes a bit of time. John O'Brien was having a quite effective game. I speak 2 points of play, and there's a lot of work, even though John Garrett's playing now. This is a lovely ball in, but he's a lot to do with Corbett. Flicks this ball in here, still takes up 1 touch, and he still has a lot to do, but fires an unstoppable shot. He had a terrible lot to do there, came across his man Mulcahy, still had to take it up here, first touch, bang, and right across. Fantastic shot from a great goal.
What is a goal like that? Because he has his doubters, in fairness, among some people.
He has, but to be fair to him, Michael, he's nearly always injured. This is his first game.
And still, he's a finisher. Goals is what he scores. And goals is what you need nowadays in the game, because goals are so scarce.
And he has pace, the one thing they don't like inside. Great start for Tip.
A couple of years ago, Cork took a man who was a defender and brought him up and put him in full forward, and he contributed and scored.
Yeah, and where would they be without him? You know, for the last 2 years, he has been probably the most influential forward. And again, he did it today, just what was needed. Not only did he score, but he made it as well. Now, this was a great movement here in this ball. Now, Cork were really on top at this stage of the game. Niall McCarthy wins the ball, and of course, Niall balloons it, half misses it as usual, goes in. Now, watch Corkland's play. He has it here. Great pass to Joe Dean. Maybe he should have finished it, but there he is. Corkland himself is shoving it.
Joe Corkland there, not allowed to give the pass. Watch it here now. Most players that stand up, he gives this pass, but he continues on. I think most people think Joe Dean's going to score. He doesn't. Corkland still continues on about to 20 yards. Great side forward to keep moving. Because
in case the goalie blocked it and he came out to the side, he would be able to finish it.
There he is there.
So there he is, and just no wild swing or anything, just shoves it into the net. You know. But lucky to have got that goal, you know. Cork are very, very lucky to have got those 2 goals, because they're in big trouble right all over the field.
Well, they're lucky with the second goal they got from this point of view. It was a great goal by Ben O'Connor, but if we go all the way back, the ball was fouled by the Cork defender on the way up in the move.
Yeah, well, Brian Murphy turned once or twice, but like he's playing quite well, and he has been very strict.
Well,
now here,
it is a foul. It is a foul.
Watch it. You can turn 10 times as long as you play the ball.
This is a foul.
This is it here. He holds like there.
No, that's a foul.
But look at this. What happens here? This is Jerry O'Connor here. Watch this kind of. It's lovely continuous play. Flicks it up here. Knows what he's doing here. Out to a loose man here on his own. Got to pick it up here. Now this is Bale here. Like he has a long way to go here. Now little flick on here. Out to Timmy McCarthy. Timmy's he's in here to the centre. All right, back to Jerry. Now what? Look at here. Travels another little bit. Another hand pass in. Now here's Bale again. Now he's not fully fit. I'd say. After saying that, bangs an unstoppable shot in the back of the net. He has travelled 60 or 70 yards. Strides a bit sharp, but once he gets it, he has only one thing in mind. He's going to go for goal. Great strike.
Now, what should also expect there that he'd go across the goals of the ball. But everybody knows that if Brendan Cummins has a weakness, it's here at his left-hand side, and he strikes it in at the near post. Cummins is expecting it to cross the goals, so he kept his head. But Ben's pace is not the pace of the Ben of old today.
No. Fellas, we've been talking about the great Argentinian goal in the World Cup a couple of nights ago. The second half here in Thurles come your way in a few minutes' time. But for the moment, we're going to hand you back to the newsroom in RTE for On the Up. 53,000 people here, slightly more than, and a big round of applause from those 53,000 for Jimmy Purcell here, who is the groundsman here at Semple Stadium. Sean Fogarty making the presentation there to Jimmy. He's been groundsman here since 1985, but he's decided to hand back the keys and hand over to somebody else. And from all of us who work here in Semple Stadium, many thanks indeed to Jimmy for all his help and cooperation down through the years. All square at half-time, gentlemen. I'll ask you the question I asked you at the start. Who's going to win the Munster final?
At half-time, Tip are the happiest in the dressing room. They came out here, they've taken the game to Cork, fell behind, came back again, and they're against a bit of a breeze. They'll be quite happy to be just level at half-time, prefer to be up, of course, but like they're in the ascendancy in the sense that they are coming and have upset Cork. But I would think Cork in the second half, their half-back line midfield especially, will just let the ball fly a bit faster to full forward line. They're kind of both floating around midfield and they're being caught for over-carrying and over-passing. I'd say John Allen at half-time, we had to be a bit more direct. Like, it seems to be that Tip you think would want to win it, but I still have a feeling that Cork will just edge out this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Tip have shown the game plan, obviously, they set out. It's worked very well so far, but obviously John Allen has been looking at that over the last 35 minutes.
Well, he has, Michael, but there's been a few intriguing things about it. Brendan Cummins is the longest striker of the ball in the game, but he's hitting the puck outs to midfield. He's not hitting them down on top of the Cork half-back line. Of course. The puck outs have been to midfield.
He's not going to change that.
Well, Tom Kenny's out of the game, Paul Kelly's picking up, and then the half-forwards are coming out and picking up the loose ball. Now, the second thing is, the more worryingly for John Allen, is no half-forward has scored. None of the three half-forwards have scored. Now, if Niall Ronan isn't better than at least two of those three half-forwards, I don't know. I don't know why he's not.
You'll have a forward or two coming on for Cork the second half.
Kieran Murphy, Neil Ronan will have to come on.
There's two Murphys there.
Tip are doing that without Owen Kelly having scored from play.
They are, because in their half-forward line, John Carroll has got a point, John O'Brien's got so they're
breaking even with Paul.
Well, you see, John Garner seems to have a very good game. He's striking lovely loose ball, but at the same time, John O'Brien is hitting in a lot of ball and has got 2 points to play. Reds get a lot of ball through, so that was a bit quite happy. But in the second half, there's a bit of a breeze. You'll find that the puck out will be going into that Cork half-back line more in the second half than this half.
Because Tip have the breeze.
Tip have the breeze.
But will he want it to be going in?
Yeah, he will.
Probably. Well, he'd like to bypass it or else stay midfield side.
He might try and go over it altogether. Because he
bypass
can go over it and go right to the full forward line in the second half. But Cork are in trouble here. No question about it. Cork are in trouble here, and if Tip keep up the momentum they have and they keep getting that ball to the full forward line, Sullivan is in trouble inside and full back. We could have a massive surprise in store here.
Well, I'll tell you, it's all square at half-time, so it's something that's going to ratchet up the tension, obviously, and the atmosphere here in Semple Stadium for this second half. Great atmosphere. I wish you could be here, but I'm sure you're enjoying it on the TV. Jerry Canning, Michael Duigan in the commentary box.
Thanks, Michael. Don't see any changes on either team at the start of the second half. Dickie Murphy ready to restart the tussle here. Players are ready in the centre of the field. Watch in place. Second half gets underway, and straight away it's Shane McGrath with Tipperary now with that fresh breeze behind them. John Gardner running into a challenge there. It breaks out here towards Owen Kelly. Hand passed, good support there from John O'Brien. Drops short, Donald Cusack. Thought about going to the left. Switched instead to Sean O'Halpine. Dribble to Sullivan, fumbles, misses. In trouble. Only handled it on the ground and nobody protested. Ball finally away by Ronan Curran. Paul Ormond coming across here. He's had a really good steady match at left corner back, up towards Lark Corbett. Goal scorer for Tipperary early in the first half. John Gardner back out into the middle. Tom Kenny hasn't seen an awful lot of the action so far, trying to get more involved. Paul Kelly trying to close him down. It's still Tom Kenny. That injection of pace we saw in the semi-final. This time the shot, however, is unrewarded after all the hard work. He is a flyer. This was definitely handled on the ground. Should have been a free.
Yeah, that's what infuriates us with Cork sometimes. 3 or 4 passes to get the ball 30 yards off the goals and put themselves under pressure. You know, when Donal could have cleared it 80 yards with nobody near him.
Well, now the puck out from Brendan Cummins from the town end here. He's got all the Cork supporters up there encamped behind him. Big, long delivery towards John O'Brien. Spills through the hands of O'Brien and Gardner. Last man to touch it, however, was the Tip player. Line ball to Cork. Level, started the second half in points, 12 points apiece. All the way back to the goalkeeper, look where he's come. Donal Cusack with the hurley with that big, huge, wide boss in it to get extra strength and length into the puck. Niall McCarthy dragged back, free to Cork. Any little indiscretion like that's going to be penalised. This once again here is a lovely takedown by Niall McCarthy. Then a little collision immediately afterwards, and Joe Dean comes out to take the frees. Joe Dean, 2 points from the first half, one of those from a free.
Yeah, and this is just about his limit, you know, 50 yards out into a slight breeze. So normally Joe only takes the close-in ones and Ben O'Connor takes these ones.
Referee telling Hugh Maloney just to go back 20 metres. Joe's shot going left and then curling in over the bar. We were right behind it. It was heading outside and the wind then curled it in right between the posts, and advantage Cork started the second half. Well, it's one that I think the Cork fans will feel they have needed. It's their first score in 11 minutes of the contest. Ronan Curran coming again to Jerry O'Connor. John Gardner now. Low inside towards Brian Corcoran, runs all the way through. Conor O'Mahony couldn't cut it out, but eventually the ball back in the midfield. Jerry O'Connor. Timmy McCarthy now moving in towards top on the right against Paul Ormond. Balancing with difficulty. Trying to approach, trying to set something up. It's Niall McCarthy who ran straight into the nearest Tipperary player to him, and Dickie Murphy calling him aside. And it's Shane McGrath, I think, who is nursing the injury, and the notebook is shown to Niall McCarthy for that. This is it again here. Watch Shane McGrath, and straight into him there. All eyes on the ball was Niall McCarthy.
Yeah, lucky enough to escape a yellow card there, I think. You know, just took him out of it completely.
Pat Mulcahy there with the task of keeping tabs on Lark Corbett, but Shane McGrath's okay. Another one of the players with a yellow helmet. There are 5 of them in all in the match this afternoon. 4 of them playing for Tipperary. John Allen is in touch with some of his selectors up in the stand. Obviously making a point to him. Is there a switch on the way? Right now there's pressure on the Cork backs. Coping well, Ronan Curran. Good approach play to get it out to the middle. Tom Kenny runs away from the nearest Tipperary player to make an angle for himself. Out by Fanning initially. Timmy McCarthy trying to get it back in for Cork. He's got a player inside him, Joe Dean. It's McCarthy taken down, free in. But he had a spare player waiting inside. Eamon Corcoran is the one who dragged him to the ground, 20 metres out. And the referee, who's been reluctant to issue any cards aside from black ones so far. Well, now what's his response going to be here?
And this is a definite yellow card, but Joe Dean was completely unmarked inside. Little hand pass over the top, and it was a certain goal for Cork. So Eamon Corcoran knew what he was doing. He took him out of it, and you know, he'll feel it's worth it. It's just a point instead of a goal.
That's the first yellow the players have seen this afternoon. But there was a definite goal on, I think, for Cork. And indeed, Timmy McCarthy just didn't spot Dean inside. All eyes as he was approaching. It was just before that I think he had a better chance of playing the ball off. So it gives Cork a chance to put 2 between them, and once again it's Joe Dean. Eamon Corcoran running across his line of vision, and Dean is absolutely happy just to plant it into the stand, or into the crowd rather, behind the goal, his 4th point.
Yeah, you just feel the tip need to lift it now, Jerry, because Cork have a habit of doing this, just tipping away, and next thing they're gone out of sight. So I think it's very important that Tipperary get the next score and get back into impose themselves in this game. Do they want to win this Munster final? Because they just started the second half very lacklustre.
Broken down once again here. Tipperary trying to gain the edge, and it's John Carroll coming thundering through here. Oh, Halpin's after him, and that's over the bar. Good score. Tipperary will feel they needed that badly. First of the second half. Second for John Carroll. That's 2 shots, 2 points for the Ross Gray player, who, remember, was an all-star at wing-back 5 years ago when Tip were the All-Ireland champions. Last time they won Munster, of course, that year as well.
Yeah, and he has a great burst of speed. When he breaks through like that, he's very, very dangerous. You know, he creates a lot of goals with his strength, but he's great vision as well, and a super scorer. And himself and John O'Brien have 2 points each against Sean Ogue and John Garrett. They'll be delighted with that.
The other one of the half-forward line not to score so far is Redzer O'Grady, the captain. The quick pick out, well, it wasn't terribly quick, but it was a short puck out as far as Gardner. Oh, they were trying to be just a little bit too clever there. Paul Kelly hooked, Tom Kenny after him. Falls loose to Jerry O'Connor. Trying to get the ball away. Shane McGrath again. It's hotting up even more than the first half. Inside towards Dermot Fitzgerald, breaks into the hands of Dermot O'Sullivan of Cork. A huge one down. Listen to the roar from the crowd. In towards Brian Corcoran. Corcoran trying to take on Paul Curran. Difficult to do. There's a support player. Paul Ormond coming across here. Ormond releasing it outside for Tipperary. Good play by Tip. Out towards Paul Kelly. They try to get it into the middle. It's Shane McGrath once again. Needs support, gets it there from John O'Brien. Huge one downfield, it's 1 against 1. Coming across to take Brian Murphy. Needs the goalkeeper, Donald O'Cusack. Out to a loose player, Ronan Curran. They work it once again in measured fashion to Tom Kenny. Big one, into the inside forward line. 2 inside there, no great width. Well covered there by Eamon Corcoran. Gets it out here, but Paul Ormond could be in difficulty with Ben O'Connor present. Into the corner he goes. Taken out there, looking for a free player. Brian Corcoran gets the shot in, gets the point. It's an excellent score. A goal and a point for Brian Corcoran. And after all the pressure from Tipperary at the other end, Cork worked it down the field, never lost the idea of what they needed to. The approach was good, they knew exactly what they had to do. And Brian Corcoran, the right man at the right time. The injury here to Ben O'Connor. They never lost the plot, Cork.
No, they didn't, Jared, but, you know, I'm going back to this, I'm at this for the last 2 or 3 years. Why are Cork overplaying the ball so much out the field? 4 and 5 short little passes when they can get the ball inside and give their inside forward line a chance. The last day when Ben O'Connor wasn't playing, they moved the ball much quicker into Joe Dean, but Joe has got no ball in front of him today. Brian Corcoran there, you know, the odd ball, 1 or 2 balls. So, you know, I don't understand their game plan. Tipper coping very well. Paul Kelly and Shane McGrath closing them down the middle of the field. But really, I think Cork should just back to basics now and let the ball go long inside.
Well, there's a little bit more strapping being applied. This time it seems to an ankle for Ben O'Connor. But certainly when he runs at full pelt, you see immediately that he's not 100% happy.
He's only running maybe 70-80%. Still, he's doing quite well, you know. But Paul Ormer's clearing a lot of ball there. He still has a goal and a point to his name and created that score there. So still doing a very quietly effective job, but obviously been badly hampered with that hip injury.
Well, this is the player who got, I think, a goal in 7. Babs Keating has, I'm sure, worked his team up almost a fever pitch at this stage. But they're focused as well. They've got to remain cool and calm because there's a long, long way to go. 25 minutes of this final. And there's only 2 points between these teams. Great rivals. John Gardner takes it. Tipperary looking for their first victory against Cork in the championships since 1991. Line ball. Chance for Tip to apply a little bit of pressure on John Gardner and the rest of the backs. It'll be Paul Kelly, another one of the Mullinahone people to take it. John Lahey, of course, one of the selectors this year, also from that club. Paul taking his time about it. Oh, miss-hitting. In towards John O'Brien. Timmy McCarthy getting there first for Cork, and now Ronan Curran. Down, Ben O'Connor trying to nurse it into the corner to himself. 2 Tipperary players there. One of them is Hugh Maloney, and Hugh Maloney is fouled. That's going to be a free to Tipperary. Well, now Tip will be hoping after that little spell of dominance by Cork that they can achieve a little bit of mastery themselves. That's Hugh Maloney trying to get away. Hand was held by Ben O'Connor.
Yeah, and you know, Paul Ormond, Lara Corbett, these are very good athletes. One thing about Tipperary, they look to be last in the pace very, very well. You know, they're closing down Cork. Cork aren't getting away. And it's one thing about Babs, he brings in the best people around him. You know, even when he was with us in Offaly, he had Johnny Murray, a superb physical trainer. And the same thing, this Tipperary team look very, very fit. And it looks like Cork are going to go right down to the wire to get away from them.
Wonder what Sean Allen had to say to Ben O'Connor there just moments ago.
Just ask him how he's feeling, you know, how his fitness is, and maybe bring in a fresh man.
Owen Kelly standing over this. He is just 10 metres or so in from the sideline. From the middle of the park. That's wonderfully on target. A 6th 6 out of 6 for Owen Kelly. All of his scores have come from frees. That in itself is significant. But at the end of the day, the Tipperary fans and the team, they won't care if they're 1 point ahead of Cork at the end, how the scores came about.
Yeah, Ger, but they've been 2 65s and 2 or 3 very long range trees as well, just a couple of tap overs, so you know they have to be scored as well. They're very, very important.
Timmy McCarthy holds this one well, about to be challenged by Shane McGrath. McGrath trying to tap the ball, does so successfully. Great play by McGrath, a youngster coming to the pitch of the game. Up towards Dermot Fitzgerald. Dermot O'Sullivan gets it away to John Gardner, right half back, into Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny challenged there by Paul Kelly. Low this time towards Ben O'Connor, runs beyond him. Jerry O'Connor trying to make life difficult for Paul Ormond. Stands his ground well. He's a strongly built fellow. Up to another strong fellow on the 40. Redzer O'Grady. Breaks inside towards Owen Kelly. Trying to skip away from the challenge of Brian Murphy. Over his shoulder. That's a beauty! The levelling score. The first from play by Owen Kelly. 7 for the day.
Absolutely brilliant score made by Paul Ormond, who's having a storm and are really coming into the game. But just a little flick of the wrist over his shoulder. Nothing that Brian Murphy, he's back in the corner now on Brian Murphy, but nothing Brian Murphy could do about that.
Wonderful score by Owen Kelly. Pressure back once again on the Tipperary half-backs. It's Jerry O'Connor, dispossessed beautifully. Tell you, Shane McGrath's having a great game.
Well, he's very athletic, and he's just staying on his job, covering the ground, and that's what you have to do with Cork. Be disciplined and close them down. And it must be affecting the Cork players' confidence now. This running game isn't working. Have they got a plan B?
Because John Gardner, Ronan Curran, Sean O'Halpine, you expect them to be totally in control. You expect Tom Kenny and Jerry O'Connor more or less to run the show. Tip have other ideas today. And today, maybe their ideas will come good. That's left behind there by Fanning for Joe Dean. And Joe Dean seizes on the chance and puts it over the bar. 5 points for Joe Dean from 5 shots. It's quite a shootout as we watch Cian O'Connor on the ground. Quite a shootout between Owen Kelly and Joe Dean. Let's go down to the sideline and join Tony O'Donoghue.
With Tomás Mulcahy, Tomás, it's so close. Can you call it now?
But yeah, it's very, very close. In fairness to Tipperary, they're really putting it up to Cork, and I mean, their full back line has been very, very dominant in it started the second half as well. They're reading the possession very, very well. And I mean, from a tactical point of view, if you were to be critical of Cork, you would have to be saying that they need to be delivering the ball much longer. I mean, the short passing game isn't working today, but credit to Tipperary, they've come back very, very strong, and every time possession goes inside, you see the corner part of the side are very, very strong.
And Neil Ronan is getting ready for Cork. He's about to come into the game, I think, for Cian O'Connor.
Yes, I mean, Eamon Cochran is having a very, very good game for Tipperary, and Cork need to actually kind of nullify his challenge now. And Neil Ronan, we've seen what he's done in the past. He's come on, he's been a very, very big substitute for Cork.
Thank you very much. It's Neil Ronan perhaps coming in just a moment. He's on the sideline, not on just yet. Cork by a point in point 16-15. Chance for Tipperary here. Redzer O'Grady swinging it, and that's gone wide. The umpire thought about it for a moment, and Ger O'Grady thought it was over the bar. Well, he's convinced it was gone over. The umpire says no.
Wide. Yeah, it looked wide to me here, Ger. But that's a couple of chances. Here's Redzer again.
I think just outside.
Definitely outside. You know, that's a couple of wides Redzer's had. If he'd put them over, he'd be up there as well with the lads. But maybe he'd be better just do the simple thing and tip it into the full forward line.
So this is the change now, and Neil Ronan comes on for Cian O'Connor. Neil Ronan playing in his 16th championship match. Man who scored 17 points so far. Cian O'Connor comes off. It was Cian's 6th game for Cork. Well, he'll sit on the bench, watch the teams balance very, very delicately at this stage. One between them. Under enormous pressure there, McGrath getting it inside to John O'Brien. On his left-hand side, sweeping it down. Dermot O'Sullivan comes out, lets it bounce. John Carroll in quickly, takes it away. Goes by Pat Mulcahy. His team a point behind, and he's hit it poorly, and he's put the ball wide. Wasted opportunities now, one after the other. First by Redzer O'Grady, and now by John Carroll.
Yeah, but I think they deserve huge credit here, that half-forward line. You know, we were all saying before the game, Cork half-back line would be well on top of them, but that's not the case. They're doing very, very well and working hard for every ball.
They've improved Tipperary in leaps and bounds in recent months. You consider where they were at the end of the league campaign. They've got better and better, and Eamon Corcoran's having a great year. That's stopped by Ronan Curran, standing firm. His man hasn't scored so far in the game. This is the other centre half back, Conor O'Mahony. Up towards Owen Kelly. This time Kelly commits the foul on Brian Murphy. And the man in the green helmet wins the free for Cork. Kelly, such a danger man. Correctly rated, I think, the top hurler around at the moment. This is his point a little while ago here. Redzer O'Grady made it for him. He was under a lot of pressure. Brian Murphy after him, over his shoulder, beautifully found the range.
Yeah, and that's one of his strengths. Jerry can do that both left and right, so it's very, very hard to know. If you go right, he'll go left and he'll swing it over. But that's what Redzer played a low ball in there, and that's what he should be doing all the time. These speculative shots in every game, 3 or 4 points going wide.
This time the concern is about the Newport player, Conor O'Mahony. Sunshine has gone in. Lots of cloud overhead. Perfect conditions, really. Ger Cunningham, one of the selectors, making a point to John Allen.
Yeah, Jeremy, what a finely balanced match. Both half-back lines, midfield, half-forward lines on both teams. Very 50-50, you'd have to say, since the start of the game. Maybe the tip half-forward line shading it down here. But there's 20 minutes to go now, the crucial last 20 minutes. Who's going to crack first? You know, and can Tip live with this pace?
This could be a good switch, by the way. Diarmuid Fitzgerald has now gone to the 40 and Redzer has gone to full forward. Let's see what happens. Pressure on Cork, and that's gone wide.
Yeah, you know, Redzer has proven in the past he's very good in the air, and you know, gives Tip another option. Let the odd high ball into the square and let him fight it out. And Diarmuid Fitzgerald should be more mobile out there at centre half forward, so it could be a very good move.
I certainly think Fitzgerald's a lot happier playing at the half line.
Yeah, he can cover ground, you know, and he's a hurler. He's more of a hurler. He's a bit confined in the inside line.
Mulcahy can't clear. Here comes Redzer O'Grady. Gets there ahead of Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Back in there is Tom Kenny, having a better second half. Ronan Curran, quick look around. Told about the pass. Going long into the corner. Neil Ronan racing after it. Will he make a big difference? Here he comes, taking on Paul Curran. He's out over the line. But he was ushered out over the line. But the referee anyway says that's going to be a puck out for Tipperary. Now, can he make a difference, Neil Ronan? He tends to be what they call this awful term, impact sub. But
yeah,
he does make a big difference,
well,
doesn't he?
He does. I'm sure he's very unhappy with that. You know, he feels probably he's worth his place in the team on his own rights. But unfortunately, that's the way he's proven himself coming on. And normally he's good for a couple of scores.
And there's a change for Tipperary as well. John Devan from Clonulty Rossmore coming in. And it's Redzer O'Grady who's going off. Not his day. So John Milan comes in, and straight away Diarmuid Fitzgerald has been switched back to the fringe of the square on Diarmuid O'Sullivan, who had won the last couple of balls in there. That might have swung the decision. That's Jerry O'Connor trying to get the ball away. Needs support here. It's John Gardner, head down, full of determination. Chased after by Shane McGrath. Into open space. Brian Corcoran trying to turn. Quick look around. Good block. Gets it back once again. Under pressure, he puts it wide. Mistakes being made now by players, but those are long-range opportunities, never easy. This was a very good block a little while ago here. It was Paul Kelly who was coming in on top of him. That's a total of 9 wides now for Cork.
Paul Kelly and Shane McGrath very, very effective in the midfield for Tip, working really hard and closing down lads all over the place.
John Gardner again. Tom Kenny trying to control it this time. Paul Kelly was coming in. Kenny still. Mulcahy angling it across here. Joe Dean trying to get first one ahead of Declan Fanning. Trying to do a little dodge. Trying to deceptively take his way in here. Swinging it beautifully and over the bar. He's a master of that. Remember the semi-final against Clare. He's just knocked over his 6th point of the afternoon.
Joe, why don't Cork do more of that? A simple ball in front of Joe Dean. He's such skill, such touch, and you know, he's great patience. He just held that ball until Declan Fanning made the slip, gone past him, and an absolutely brilliant score. We've seen that, like, with the 2 best corner forwards in the country here today, and both of them showing those outrageous skills. And you know, I don't know why Cork don't just play that man more.
Cork 2-11, Tipperary 1-12 in points. Cork 17, Tip 15, and as I speak, it's eaten into once again, and it's Lar Corbett. Well, he hasn't scored for a long time, but it's a goal and a point now for Lar, and a 1-point game.
Yeah, in fairness to Tip, they've done this. You know, both Cork goals have hit back straight away, and there again when Joe Dean got a good point, a lovely point from Lar Corbett.
2 wonderfully well-managed teams, 2 evenly matched sides, but who's going to win the Munster Cup for 2006. Cork, remember, are trying to win it for the 50th time this year. Once again, it's John Carroll, tenacious. From the middle of the field, it's hit brilliantly there. But not quite on target by Paul Kelly. Wonderful setting, wonderful scene here. This, the statistical information we've been able to give you at the three-quarter stage of the game.
Yeah, it's very much 50-50. You can see from those stats. It's an intriguing contrast in styles, I think. You know, Tipper playing very traditional hurling, getting the ball, playing it in very fast into the forward. Whereas Cork are still looking for the short balls, running game, and you know, which of them is going to come out on top now at this stage.
Ben O'Connor, top of the left now. Jerry O'Connor, his twin brother, and the referee says no, free. Tipperary win the free. Ball was thrown. You can see it again in the replay here. It was Ben trying to find Jerry. There you are. Well, the fans are loving it. Okay, there's a quarter-final place up next for the two teams. We know all about that, but there's nothing to beat the Munster or the Leinster hurling final.
Oh, and a lot of these tip players in particular don't have Munster medals in their pockets, so there'll be huge incentive.
Dermot O'Sullivan in some difficulty. Ronan Curran again coming to help. Paul Kelly going across, grabbing it, taking it in here. He's really fired up inside there and runs beyond John Milan. All right, John Devan, I should say. Anyway, it's gone wide and a puck out in the end of all of that for Cork. Well, there's still about 12 minutes to go in this Munster final. Donald Cusack down the centre, cut out really well here. Conor O'Mahony only as far as John Gardner. This time his target is Brian Corcoran. Paul Curran after him as well. Curran rolling it up, taking it, trying to get away, fouled. And listen to the Tipperary fans now. They love the determination and the never-say-die approach of their fullback.
Yeah, and Babs took a big chance leaving out Philly Maher, but Curran and Armand are more athletic, you know, and that's the way the game has gone. But Paul Curran, I think, very underestimated hurler over the last 2 or 3 years, and won a great 50-50 ball, and that should really lift Tip for the last 10 minutes.
Well, it's Cork still a point to the good. Winning at the moment by 17 points to 16, leading at least. O'Halpine back to Gardner once again. He's got freedom to manoeuvre. Taken in here by Neil Ronan, the substitute trying to get away from Hugh Maloney. Letting fly in towards Corcoran. Trying to keep him out, however, is the fullback. Brian Corcoran once again needing assistance. It's Neil Ronan. Back once more. Ben O'Connor discarding the helmet. Half blocked. Successfully blocked. Curran trying to take it away. This is Jerry O'Connor. Back once again to Ben O'Connor. And that's wide. After all the effort, it must have touched the back, however, because the umpire has raised his hand and it's going to be a 65. That was an awful lot of pressure, and Cork thought they were going to get nothing for it at the very end. Colin Morrissey is coming on to replace Paul Kelly. This, once again, here is that final piece of action. Must have been Shane McGrath that touched it.
Yeah, it didn't really look it from there. It could be a crucial score. Just see Babs now is taking off Paul Kelly, you know, really acting quickly on the sideline, bringing in fresh men when they're needed to keep up with this Cork game. And in fairness to Tipperary, they're really closing down Cork and giving them no room to hurl.
Well, Babs himself, I'm sure, will feel that he took a bit of a risk coming back as manager. He'd been out for a long, long time, but he's done a good job. Joe Dean ready to take this 65, score of 6 points so far. Ready to put 2 between them if he can. That's on target. It's another for Dean. A really prolific scorer. Cork 2 goals and 12. Tipperary 1 goal and 13. Once again, Tipperary trying to ask some questions of Cork's defence. Jerry O'Connor once again. O'Halpine over there. Seemed to have run away from him. Did well, got a vital touch. Eamon Corcoran's arguing the toss. It's going to be a line ball for Cork. Sean O'Halpine in no particular hurry at this stage. I make it about 8 minutes to play. 2 points the margin. Champions leading. Corcoran stepping away from trouble. Back once again. Well, now it's really asking questions of the Tipperary forward line at this stage. Can they maintain the consistency they've shown up to now? Out towards Ben O'Connor. O'Connor trying to go by Paul Ormond. A support player is available. His twin brother Jerry. And Jerry has this one going to the right. Another wasted chance. But at least the pressure remains on the Tipperary backs, and that's 10 wides now for Cork.
Tipperary are never going to get a better chance here. They've really done everything. They've rattled Cork, but Cork are still a couple of points ahead. But if Tipperary, if they want to win this badly enough, just up the pace now for the next couple of minutes, and it's there for the taking.
Question is, will they and can they? Timmy McCarthy deemed to have been fouled, and it's going to be a free to Cork. Just have a look at this again here. Little push in the back. Eamon Corcoran has to be careful. He was yellow carded already. Second yellow card, and he'll have to be careful because Graham Poll is not refereeing this particular match. When he's around, 2 yellows and you stay on. Bob's masterminding what he hopes will be a famous victory. Cork have other ideas. John Gardner to strike this. Oh, it's hit way to the left. An uncharacteristic error by a young player who's normally deadly accurate. Another substitution being made, and Benny Dunn is coming on for John O'Brien, who had a great first half but failed to stay the pace in the second. So the Tipperary management are ringing the changes. Now, have they got the answers, and can they unlock this Cork defence? It's all very well having the opportunity to take Cork, but will they take Cork? Are they able to? Jerry O'Connor trying to get the ball away. Timmy McCarthy is running his legs off and running his heart out. And the Cork management, John Allen, certainly furious with the linesman this time, felt the ball had gone off a stick by virtue of a chop there on Timmy McCarthy. But it's going to be a line ball for Tipperary, and the linesman wants it back a little bit. Hugh Maloney was ready to take a yard or so if he could.
You don't normally see John Allen so animated. He was right beside it there, didn't take it well.
Well, there's a title at stake here. You work all winter into the spring preparing teams for this big day, and don't anybody tell you that the Munster Championship still doesn't mean as much as ever. For the 30 players in action right now, it means everything there is, and there's 5 minutes left, and there are 2 points between them as Maloney tries to set up a chance here for Benny Dunn. Letting fly, and he's put it over the bar, and there's just 1 between them. Benny Dunn has come in at about 4 minutes after his entrance. He's scored.
A brilliant score, his first touch. He dispossessed that last ball for the line ball and drifted away from John Gardner. Brilliant score over his shoulder there.
Well, that call that John Allen was upset about earlier on might come back to haunt Cork. This is Pat Mulcahy.
That's a foul as well, Ger. That ball didn't pass the 21 on the way out, it has to.
Once again, it's Tipperary with Conor O'Mahony trying to advance out here. Ball given away, however, to Tom Kenny. A couple of players chasing after. One of them is O'Mahony, the other is Shane McGrath. Still it's Kenny. Jerry O'Connor to his left. Kenny running into a cul-de-sac. Great tracking back. This is Eamon Corcoran kicking it away into space just to put the pressure back on Cork, the defending champions, leading by 1. Into the corner it goes towards Diarmuid Fitzgerald. The other Diarmuid, O'Sullivan's after him, trying to make a better angle. Inside dangerously, Saved by the goalkeeper, and Owen Kelly is once again denied by Donald O'Cusack. Comes out to Sean O'Halpine. They chase after him. That was Carroll fouling him. Advantage allowed, and O'Halpine drives it down towards Brian Corcoran. All eyes on it. Corcoran trying to round the full-back. Corcoran trying to get a shot. Forced away from goal. Comes back out towards Ben O'Connor. Stepping away from danger. Trying to get the shot in, and Ben O'Connor has put it wide. So many times in the past, he's put that straight over the bar under pressure. Not today.
Yeah, Neil Ronan was loose inside. He was completely unmarked again there. Another mistake by Cork, and they are rattled. There's no doubt about that.
That's the same a little while ago. We have a cliffhanger on our hands here. The world of sport elsewhere may be looking to Germany in the World Cup, but Sean Allen, Babs Keating and the rest, their eyes focused right now on one game and one place only. It's Semple Stadium in Thurles.
There's no comparison what the lads are doing out there, and look at the money they're getting in Germany. Different class, these guys.
Who's going to take the cup? Once again it's Paul Ormond. He's got a free player, Eamon Corcoran. Up towards Owen Kelly, battling his heart out there with Brian Murphy, who's done a marvellous job on him. And the foul committed. Murphy on the ground. Cork annoyed. Referee having a word with John Carroll, drawing him aside. Little word in your ear, John. Just one yellow card issued so far. This time it's just the notebook for John Carroll. Heat of the moment stuff, I'm sure Tipperary will say. This is it again here. John Carroll coming across a late challenge. Referee deciding it's a black notebook rather than the yellow card. On other days I think it would have been a card. Referee telling Brian Murphy how much time is left. As you can see, we're almost into the 69th and 70th minute. They're going to be 3 minutes of stoppage time. So we're looking at 4 minutes remaining. Niall McCarthy sitting it out. New man in, number 21, Kieran Murphy. 4 minutes to decide who's going to win in Munster. Pressure on Eamon Corcoran, bats it. Ormond comes out from corner back, spills loose towards Joe Dean, needing a support player. Ben O'Connor towards Jerry O'Connor, trying to work his way through, looking for something from the referee. Comes back out here once again towards the new man in, Kieran Murphy, under pressure, drives it high. It's over the bar! What an amazing substitution! Kieran Murphy from Sarsfields puts it over. This is the player who was omitted from the starting 15. Well, he's made his presence felt immediately. Micheál Webster is about to come in for Tipperary as a replacement for Hugh Maloney. I think it's a case of taking off one back. Diarmaid Fitzgerald anyways gone to half back. It's a little turnaround in plan by Babs Keating. One last throw of the dice, two between them. Tip have to score a goal in the next 3 minutes. Cork to hang on to take their 50th title. Wonderful drama, great excitement, some great skill. Line ball, it's to Cork. Tip, crestfallen by that decision. Some of the players out of shot there.
Yeah, I thought that was a tip ball. I thought it came off Ben O'Connor's foot. Maybe I'm wrong, just there was a lot of shuffling down there.
It's got to be a Cork ball. That's what the linesman decided.
Very marginal, yeah.
Ben O'Connor gets a replacement hurley. I bet that's made in North Cork. Ben and the dad, of course, hurling manufacturers.
Homemade.
A line ball then. I wonder will he try and put it over the bar from here. He's in no particular hurry and the Tip fans are furious with him. And the linesman wants him to bring it nearer to the line. All of this is eating into the time, and there's a minute and 13 seconds of stoppage time already gone. Cork ahead by 2 points, 19-17. It's not the date, it's the score. Beautifully in, taken here well, under pressure by Paul Curran. Tip need to work the ball up the field. They need to get into a goal-scoring chance. They haven't got a goal-scoring chance. It's Jerry O'Connor instead, and there's another foul. And another free. The one thing that Tip will not have wanted their players to do, to concede frees easily to Cork at this late stage. A day when the number of chances created by both teams almost identical. Cork created 29 scoring chances, Tipperary 28. Cork took 20, Tipperary took 15 so far. Joe Dean rather. Dean to try and hit this one over from 45 metres. He's put it over. That's his 8th. He's taken 8 shots at the target. He's scored 8 points. You can't do much better than that, than the man from Killa. Is there a goal there for Tipperary to rescue this game? Micheál Webster maybe, he'll be the hero. Oh, that hand pass, bad one. O'Halpine looking for a free player. Foul committed. And Micheál Webster and one or two of the others there. Not flavour of the month. John Devan being spoken to.
Yeah, it was a high tack. Gerard, 20 points again. Cork have scored today, 2-14. That seems to be their golden number. Overall, the last major championship matches, 20-21 points. And Joe Dean in with 8 points again today.
They've gone into this match, you know, Michael, unbeaten in 10 championship matches. This is about to be number 11, it seems. And yet they've come close on occasions
It's very
today.
like the Clare match last year. You know, they were there for the taking, but they've withstood it now. It looks like they're going to finish this game as winners again. You know, and some record they have. They want to go straight through the front door and win their 3rd All-Ireland in a row.
Breaks through, Joe Dean, stopped by Brendan Cummins. And the referee's going to throw the ball in. That was another late chance there for Cork, and in particular for Joe Dean. But credit Brendan Cummins, got down really well on this one here.
Joe Dean is deadly in those situations. Little flick. I think it was a bit of a... Yeah, Ben O'Connor pulled a wild stroke there on Dermot Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is down.
Oh, the referee, Dickie Murphy, blows, and that's it! Cork are once again the Munster hurling champions. That's the 50th time they've achieved that. A very notable honour for a wonderful team, a wonderful group of players who play so well as a team. Yes, they may have 6 or 7 outstanding players, but John Allen has nurtured the team spirit. There's a cohesion about them, with Sean O'Halpine, last year's captain, one of the stars as ever. But today they came up against a Tipperary team who had as good a chance of knocking out the champions as they're ever likely to get, and they just failed in that task.
They did, you know, Tipperary, in fairness to Babs, the Tipperary team, they had a massive game plan. They stayed with Cork to stop the running game. They really had their homework done, but at the end of the day, Cork just took their scores that little bit easier. They had some bad wides, and Tipperary would be very, very disappointed. The game was there for the taking the last 15-20 minutes, and they just didn't have the drive to go on and do it. So Cork not at their best maybe the last day against Clare either, but ominously they're still going forward, and they're still going to be the team to beat.
Cork took the lead after 12 minutes. You remember the bright start made by Tipperary, and after Cork went in front in that 12th minute, they never relinquished that lead. And the team now going across at the end of a latest victory in Munster. It's Cork 2-14, Tipperary 1-14. It was another day for the red and white. Their fans are savouring this. I think the rest of the country are probably waiting, as inevitably happens, for the champions to be beaten, but they are refusing to be beaten.
Yeah, but Jared, they're going to be worried. Ben O'Connor is obviously carrying a fairly serious injury. You know, he's not mobile. He got a goal and a point today, but he had other chances and didn't take them. And really, Joe Dean 8 points today, Brian Corcoran 1-1, and Ben O'Connor 1-1. Outside of that, their half-hour didn't score. They only got 1 point from the middle of the field. So really, you know, if Joe Dean can be held now with Ben O'Connor carrying an injury, where are they going to get the scores? And we've been saying this for the last couple of years, and somebody different is coming up every day. But you know, worrying signs there, the hunger, the appetite, they're still there. They won a tight match today. They won a tight match against Clare last year. I still fancy them to win the All-Ireland, but they're really going to, half-hour in particular, are going to have to put more scores on the board.
Well, they're into the quarter-finals. So are Tipperary. Tipperary will now have to recover from this loss very, very quickly. Let's go down to the sideline and join Tony O'Donoghue.
Thanks very much indeed, Ger. John Allen, the Cork manager, joins me. John, I don't think I've ever seen you so animated during 70 minutes of hurling.
I was animated, I have to say I was animated. I mean, it was tit for tat. There was never more than a puck of a ball in it, you know. Half time didn't come soon enough. Like, it certainly seemed at half-time that Tipper after going in winning the game, you know, which they were. We were very down. We didn't come out of the traps. We didn't play well. Tip didn't allow us to play well. I'm so delighted, you know, because all the week we were being written up as red-hot favourites. The Munster Championship was going to suffer, but it didn't suffer. You had a great game today. I'm delighted with the result.
A couple of years ago, Cork had difficulty scoring goals. The 2 goals today were absolutely crucial.
Absolutely crucial, there's no doubt about it. When Tip were dominant for a lot of the first half, and we got 2 goals, Tip had, I think, it's 9 points at half-time. You know, it was great. We've been criticised for not getting goals. Ben stepped up again like the hero that he is many times and got a great goal. But overall, I mean, it was, you know, as you said, I was animated. It was tit for tat, and I'm just thrilled we won.
You contested every ball on the sideline as well.
I did. I'd say the linesman was fed up with seeing my face because, you know, I suppose that happens when the stakes are high and when it's so close. Like, you do get sucked in, and normally I don't get sucked in, but today I was.
Well, congratulations. Go and enjoy it. The Munster Cup will be presented.
Well, the amazing thing is that Pat Mulcahy is going across now to receive the cup there from Sean Fogarty. And 2 years ago, another Newton Chandran man was also captain, but that time Ben O'Connor finished on the losing team, you remember, against Waterford. So this is the first time a Newton Chandran man is going to take the Munster Cup home to North Cork, to that wonderful club there. Let's hear what Sean Fogarty has to say.
Finally, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Michael Whelan on behalf of our great sponsors, Guinness. Thank you, Michael. And it now gives me great pleasure to present the Munster Senior Hurling Cup to a great Cork captain, Pat Mulcahy.
So the Munster Cup is retained by Cork, and they make another little piece of history. Title number 50.
With the changes of the All-Ireland Championship, some people may say that the Munster Championship is being devalued. What you saw out there today was a classic Munster final, and indeed it gives me great pleasure on behalf of the Cork Senior Hurling team to pick up that cup for the 3rd time in 4 years. There are a few people I thank has made all this possible. First of all, our sponsors, O2, Pat Madigan, Catherine Tiernan, everyone involved have been tremendous to us the last few years. Secondly, the Cork County Board, Mick Dolan and all his staff, and indeed my own club, Newtown Chandran, for giving me the honour for standing here today. Our backroom staff, Dr. Con Murphy, Decky Sullivan, Dave Pine, Chris O'Donovan, Jerry Sullivan, Jimmy McAvoy, Eddie O'Donnell, our 2 trainers, Sean McGrath and Jerry Wallace. And most importantly, our 5 selectors, John Cunningham, Joe Leary, Patsy Morrissey, Frank Sheedy and our coach, John Allen. I'd like to thank Tipperary for having such a fantastic surface, a great stadium, the referees, linesmen and umpires and everyone involved here today. And finally, the Tipperary team for giving a fantastic display of hurling, full of pride and passion. 3 cheers to Tipperary. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Thank you very much.
All right, let's hear somebody else then talking to Tony down by the sideline. Tony O'Donoghue, please.
Thanks very much indeed, Ger Canning. Well, Tom Barry, the Tipperary selector, is with me. Tom, you'll be very disappointed at that. You came very close to Cork, but 5 points in the second half isn't enough to win a game as important as this.
Yeah, no, I think Cork outscored us 8 points to 5 in the second half, Tony, and I suppose that was the difference. But with 5 minutes to go, they were only a point up and we had every chance of winning it. But I suppose their little bit of more experience at competing at this level just seemed to show in that last 5 or 6 crucial minutes, and we didn't seem to be able to make the space to get the couple of crucial scores.
What positives will you take from this, though, going into the qualifiers now?
Well, I suppose we were kind of no hopers. If you know, with the bookies, with most people, people were writing us off as having no chance. So we'd be very pleased and very proud of the display that the players gave. We felt we were right in the game at half-time level, having played against the wind. And we feel we have a lot of quality in the team, but we probably still obviously have a bit of work to make that final step up to the top teams. But very pleased with the performance today, but hugely disappointed.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Okay, Tony.
So yes, commiserations to Tipperary, congratulations, however, to Cork as we go back to Michael.
Ger Canning, thank you very much indeed. Well, for the neutral, it was an epic battle, real titanic struggle for Cork people, obviously. A fantastic game, Tip, heartbreak, but that's, gentlemen, what Munster Championship hurling is all about in the daylight today, sir.
First of all, you have to say to the two teams, they give us a great game of real Munster hurling at its best. Ding-dong stuff, great scores, great saves, hard tackles, but no dirty blows at all. And again, Cork showed that they're great champions because they weren't really firing on all cylinders. They never went away from their game plan. They still worked the sharp puck outs and built up at the back. At times, they're very frustrated looking because it was breaking down, but they stuck at it. Tip threw everything at them. And Tip, I know they'll be disappointed tonight, but they will feel like that they're getting up there. They're up with the Corks, and maybe they're past others, the Kilkennys and Galways.
It was a classic kind of scenario. I mean, Tip pushed for the line. They pushed as hard as any team could. The champions were the champions.
Well, it was just so like Clare and Cork last year. You felt this. The other team were the Clare were in it, Tip were in it, and this eventually this Cork would be outdone in the end. But like true champions, they fought really back. Now, I think when Babs looks at it, he'll see that he made one bad mistake. And the mistake was in the first half, the puck outs were shot going into midfield. They were winning an awful lot of the ball there. There was a big gap between that half forward line and that full forward line. They knew the puck outs would come along in the second half. Now the mistake they made, they withdrew their half forward line almost on top of their full forward line, leaving no space for Owen Kelly, leaving no space for Lark Corbett, who were all doing all the damage in the first half. Yeah. So and Ronan Curran, Sean Hogan, John Gardner stormed into the game in the second half. It was only natural that would happen.
Yeah.
It was only natural.
That comes with experience.
Correct. That comes with experience. But I think when they think of it, and they run back over it, they'll see they have a very good team. They've improved immeasurably and still have a great chance at the McCarthy Cup.
All right, lads, we have a commercial break coming up. After that, news of the day's other big games in Sunday Game Plus, and that's in just a few minutes.
More B-sides and another bumper day of action across the GA world. We start at the sacred ground once more, Semple Stadium, for the fixture that still has that magical ring about it, Cork and Tip in the Munster hurling final. On into Clonus for yet another close encounter in the Ulster Championship, Armagh and Fermanagh in their replay of the football semi-final. The West awake in Carrick-on-Shannon for the meeting of Leitrim and Mayo in the Connacht Championship. And no, we're not forgetting that little local affair in Drumcondra, Dublin against Laois before 68,000 people in Croke Park. You're very welcome once again to the Sunday game. Well, we've our competition for you later with match tickets up for grabs. Plus, you can send us your comments by texting the word game, then a space, then your comments to 53555. Welcome also tonight to our hurling experts, Donal O'Grady and Pete Finnerty. Gentlemen, you're very welcome. Joining us later for the football highlights will be Kevin McStay and John O'Mahony. Well, it's the hurling first though, and there's little introduction needed for a Munster final clash between Tipperary and Cork. Our men there for us, Michael Duignan, and first, Ger Canning.
And the 117th Munster hurling final for 2006, that is, gets underway. The 75th time that these two counties have met in the decider. And straight away it's Tipperary trying to gain primary advantage here and Conor O'Mahony drives it away down the field, switches inside, runs on there. Fitzgerald trying to get inside, kicking it off the goalkeeper. Donald O'Cusack getting in the way there of Diarmaid Fitzgerald, denying him a certain goal chance. Blistering start here, ran all the way through, uncertainty at the back, and Diarmaid Fitzgerald just got by Diarmaid O'Sullivan, but was very grateful to see Donald O'Cusack come out. Owen Kelly still given the job of taking the freeze. That's a very good start. Tipperary trying to apply the pressure early on.
They're seen as overwhelming favourites, but we know ourselves, you know, Tipperary. They're seen as overwhelming favourites, but we know ourselves, you know, Tipperary are a proud hurling county, they're proud hurling people, and we expect it to be no different today, that it was going to be the battle that it turned out.
Unfortunately, it didn't come right for us. There were a few situations I thought maybe in the first half where Cork got the goals that we did, and we could have got one or two. And it might have been a different situation if we were a couple of points up at half-time. But having said that, like, we have a lot of work to do on the forward line for the next day. 5 points playing with a slight breeze isn't sufficient to win any All-Ireland quarter-final. And we have to work very, very hard for the next month.
Pete, a Cork victory without firing on all cylinders, fair comment?
I suppose they weren't allowed fire on all cylinders. It was a good game of hurling. Best game of hurling we had since the semi-finals of last year. Typical Munster final, tough, hard, fair. Tipperary came with a game plan, I thought, and contained Cork, prevented them from playing their running game, possession game. But I thought and felt that that was their limit. They weren't able to push on from that. Their half-back line dominated for a lot of the game, but weren't able to get good possession into their forwards. But Tipperary will be happy enough this evening. We thought before the match, if Owen Kelly only scored 1 point from play, that they'd be beaten by 40 points. Darragh Corbett stepped up to the mantle today. John Carroll, I thought, had a good game, and their defence was very tight. So they can move on from this. Cork will be happy they've won a Munster final. That was the first step along the way. There are days that people are going to go out with plans against Cork to prevent them from hurling and stop them playing their game plan. That happened today, and they still got through.
Donald, 2 years ago when you were deciding whether to stay on as manager or not, did the thought ever cross your mind and say, I'm getting out because this team, there's no more in this team, that I can't bring them any further?
No, Pat, I'd never, I mean, I'm on record as saying why I left, because simply in the job that I have, the day job, so to speak, I mean, the manager job with Cork is just purely amateur. I just hadn't the time to do any more.
11 successive championship victories since that defeat from Waterford. It's impressive, Donald.
Well, it's very impressive because they're a very impressive team, Pat, and you know, as Pete said, without playing, you know, exceptionally well today, the main thing in the Munster final is to win it, and it was a very hard contest. Tip went out to contest every ball, and they did that. I don't think they had the quality maybe to hurt Cork in the end, although Babs referred to the couple of chances that they got in the first 5 minutes, and I think Donald O'Cusack did wonderfully well to stop those chances. Diarmaid Fitzgerald maybe, you know, small bit of inexperience of being up there. If Owen Kelly had got those chances, maybe he'd have converted the second one. But you know, Cork would be happy to have won the Munster title, to go into the quarter-finals, and there's plenty for them to learn from the display today.
Pete, you've picked out a few clips to highlight this possession game of Cork.
Yeah, just to highlight how good Cork actually are and the ability that this team has, and they scored a classic score. It was a goal. It started, I think, in their left corner back position. They worked it all the way. Here we see it, left corner back, never under pressure, was never going to clear it down the far wing, worked it into the centre, across the field.
You're borrowing from football, this possession game.
Well, this is a man that's supposed to be injured. Like, he goes down the wing, keeps the ball in play. He knew he'd be put out over the sideline if he didn't. Timmy has to look up, passes it into the centre, carries it again, throws it on again, and watch this. Just takes the minimum amount of steps and bang. That came from your cornerback position, worked all the way through the field, never any panic, no long clearances, whole possession, worked it all the way. Here we see another point. Timmy McCarthy gets the ball. Ben O'Connor has gone forward again and again over the bar. That's the simple classic Cork hurling that they've been playing for the last 2 or 3 years.
So throw the negative in, 13 wides, and again a half-forward line that didn't score from play, and still win.
And still win. That's what it's all about. Nobody will ever remember how well they played to win the 2006 Munster final. It'll go on the cup that they won it. That's the ability of this team, even having 13 wides and with their half-forward line not fully fired on all cylinders, with Sean Oak struggling at wing back, with their full back line struggling as well. They still came out and we're strong enough and in defence to be able to hold Tipperary, and good enough in attack to be able to take the opportunities that fell their way.
Donald, we've given you the job of highlighting some of Tipperary's play. They mix the good with the bad, but maybe you might give them a few pointers tonight of how they could gain revenge later on.
Well, Pat, I must say that, I mean, they started against the breeze and they were far more impressive against the breeze than with the breeze, but sometimes, you know, possession type hurling, you know, it's more advantageous to be against the breeze, and certainly in the first half they had Cork on the rack, and very good composure shown by him here, and Redger hits in a lovely ball to Owen Kelly, and John Carroll does everything right here, supports him very well and knocked it over the bar, and they had that composure, and that comes from experience. And in the second half, a similar ball, right, John Carroll gets up the wing and he's under severe pressure on probably his weaker side, and ball struck in wide, and Tip would have benefited maybe from the ball being at the edge of the square, right, and poor clearance maybe from Ronan Curran under pressure, straight to Paul Kelly, and there's a tip man inside there, John Devan inside by himself, and the ball is floated right in over his head wide. And you know, as I said, in the World Cup there's plenty of balls like that are going, they're nothing balls, they're not either hitting for crosses or for scores.
But some media commentators will tell us that instead of highlighting bad forward play, we should actually be highlighting good defensive play in those aspects. Is that a fair point?
I mean, there was good defensive play where John Carroll went up the wing because he was being put under pressure. But I mean, I was a defender and Pete was a defender, and a defender's like nothing better than for forward to strike from an impossible angle and the ball to tail wide. For an advantageous for Tip today, that ball needed to be put into the edge of the square, where Cork weren't doing particularly well, and put Cork under pressure. Little slip inside out of free, and this was a stage in the game where Tip were only a point or two down.
Now lads, we've lots of texts and emails concerning Donald Ogue and his puck-outs. Kieran from County Offaly, Donald Ogue is taking all his puck-outs outside the small rectangle. He should be pulled up by the umpire. Matthew from Westmeath, why wasn't the Cork keeper's illegal puck-outs outside the small square noted by the umpires? You've had a look at them. What do you make of them? Are they legal or illegal? Tell us the rule for a start.
Well, the rule states, Pat, that the ball must be struck from inside the small square or the small parallelogram. And if not, if it's struck from outside, it results in a 65 being awarded to the opposing team.
So we've picked out just a few clips of Donald Ogue in action, and you're going to just tell us whether it should or is legal or illegal. First one?
Technically he's outside.
Second one? Legal.
Outside.
Outside.
But the thing to remember about Donald Ogue is, Donald Ogue, this rule was introduced to stop goalkeepers come running out as far as the 21 and landing the ball on the other 21. It was to prevent the long puck out. Donald Ogue never looks for distance. He always looks to find his man with the ball. It doesn't matter whether he's taken 5 yards back, behind the line or in front of the line. And if you want to be technical about everything, there wasn't one sideline puck today taken on the whitewash. It was taken inside the field of play, and it didn't have any bearing on the result of the game.
We highlighted 3 instances. That would be 3 65s which Owen Kelly would have put over. Will he give them a refixture?
Well, I mean, I'm here as a neutral commentator, Pat, as you know, but the thing about it is, look, there are 2 rules in hurling that are not policed, right? That's possibly the puck out. Because, okay, Donald Ogue was highlighted today, right? The puck out isn't policed that well, and the number of steps that players take isn't policed that well, because the game is so fast. And these are rules that referees blow, the umpires are there. Sometimes, the last time I remember a goalkeeper being pulled up was in the 2000 semi-final against Offaly, when Willie Barrett blew up Donald Ogue Cusack, and resulted in a point for Offaly that maybe turned the game
after tonight they'll be watching a little bit closer.
Possibly.
Tell us this, last week Pete Finnerty on the day programme said the hurling championship this season, rubbish. Is this the game that kick-started the championship?
Well, I mean, up to now, Pat, you know, the games were...
Would you agree with Pete on his assessment? And most commentators seem to have a similar viewpoint.
Well, I suppose, you know, the early rounds of the championship it's difficult to get going, right? But this game, when you compare it to the other games that have gone beforehand, definitely it was in a much higher class. It was a great contest, right up to the last few minutes, right? The game was a ding-dong struggle, very good scores, very good. I mean, what we saw today is, like, there was very good scores, but there was also very good tackling. There was very good competition. Every ball was tussled for. There was fierce high commitment from both teams. And I think, you know, the people down in Thurles today certainly got value for money, and it was a class above the rest.
Yeah, and you have to come in Babs as well, like, don't you know? He just didn't go out and play their own style of hurling against Cork. He counteracted what Cork were doing, because they have won most games because they played the possession game. He went out and he prevented that. I haven't seen the Cork midfield as stationary at midfield in the past 3 years. But our problem with hurling is that we're limited to about 8 teams. I could write down on the back of a piece of paper there the 8 teams that will be in the shake-up for the next 10 years.
Pete, last week you were a bit cranky, so is your faith restored in the hurling championship after today?
Yes, it is. It is, because from now on you're going to have the top teams playing in the qualifiers. They're going to get through to the quarterfinals, and we should have a good finish off to the championship.
Right, that brings us to man of the match. Donald, contenders?
Well, I suppose generally all defenders, Pat, when you look at Tipperary, I think that Paul Curtin had an excellent game of full-back. Paul Ormond came into the game, shaky first 10 minutes, but you'd expect that. He's been out of the game a lot. For Cork, Donald Cusack, I thought, was excellent. Commanded the square very well, made 2 great stops early on, and was very professional and looked the part in everything he did. And John Gardner and Ronan Curtin were very, very good in the half-back line as well.
Donald, Pete, sorry, your man of the match?
The man of the match, Joe Dean. In a contest that was as tight as it was tight today, every score was vital.
8 out of 8.
8 out of 8 strikes at goal. And some of the scores that he got were on some of the scores he's got, he created for himself. There was one in the second half where he just stepped outside the forward, put it over the bar. There was a lot of pressure there today. He got a 65, he came out, he scored at a crucial time to put them 2 points ahead. Again, when it was level, he put them a point ahead again. He stood up to the mantle, and that's what he deserves.
Is it fair to say he's not being used often enough in this forum?
He's been used often enough. 8 points in a championship game is using him. He's actually having a better year this year than he had last year, and maybe as a result of him being injured in the winter time, he comes back fresher for the championship.
So, Joe Dean is our man of the match. He's at the winning team's hotel in Thurles with our man, Tony O'Donoghue.
Thanks very much indeed. Yes, we're in the Anor Hotel in Thurles as Cork celebrate their 50th Munster title success. A success in no small part earned by Joe Dean's 8 points. And congratulations, Joe, you're the RT Sunday Game man of the match. Well done. A very close game in the end. So what did Cork learn about themselves today?
Yeah, I think the game did us the world of good today. You know, I suppose coming into the game today, we were hot favourites, but we knew it was going to be an awful lot tougher than that. You know, all Cork tip games over the years have been very tight. So I think we learned a bit about ourselves. We're going to have to be at 100% every day we go if we want to go on and win the All-Ireland.
Your 5th of 8 points today put you in the top 10 all-time championship scorers. Did you ever consider that sort of stat?
No, I didn't know anything about it, to be honest. That, you know, it's nice to hear, but I suppose it's a sign that I'm kind of around a bit longer than I thought I was.
Well done to you, Joe, and congratulations. John Allen joins us as well. John, you were very animated today. You're more relaxed now, but a great success for Cork. Well done.
It was, Tony. It was a great victory. You know, as Joe said, the bookies had us, you know, raging hot favourites, which, you know, if you look back over the past 20 years, a lot of the Cork tip games have either been a point either way, you know, so there was no way we were taking today's game for granted, and, you know, as the game turned out, that was the way it was.
I suppose it's more important to ask you what you learned from today's game, and will you be considering changes later on in the year?
Well, I suppose that remains to be seen, but, you know, I suppose overall we wouldn't have been very happy. I mean, it wasn't a great team display. We did enough to win. I suppose, got 2 very important points after half-time, but overall, Tip played very well, didn't allow us to play our normal, we'll say, high support game. You sit down in games like that, you sit down after and analyse, and certainly we have a lot to analyse, I'd say, after today.
Small celebrations tonight. Are you back in training soon?
Well, the clubs are playing again the weekend, and, you know, we're back training then the week after, but a little small celebration maybe.
Well, congratulations to you, John, and to you, Joe Dean, once again, our man of the match this evening. From the Anor Hotel in Thurles, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you, Tony. Congratulations to Cork, and well done to Joe Dean, a real pocket rocket. My thanks to Pete and Donald for their analysis this evening.